Hi there, my name is Daniel Walter Scott, and I'm an Adobe certified instructor here at Envato Tuts Plus. Now in this course, I'm going to show you everything you need to know about getting started with Adobe InDesign. Now this course is aimed at people completely new to InDesign. There is no need to have any previous experience in the software or graphic design or desktop publishing. We're going to start right at the beginning and work our way through step by step. Together, during this course, we're going to make a 4-page brochure, learning the tools and techniques necessary to design it and get it ready for print. We'll work with color, we'll pick your own and use corporate colors as well. You'll learn how to choose and use fonts like a professional, even working on longer text documents. You'll learn how to find, resize, and crop images ready for your professional work. You'll learn how to open other people's InDesign files, fix the fonts, fix the images so that you can start making adjustments. So if you've never opened up InDesign, or you have and you've struggled a bit with it, come with me and I'll show you the easy way to make beautiful design work in Adobe InDesign. Hello there, you made it into the class. This video is all about us getting started, a few things we need to get set up. We'll download the exercise files, I'll show you how to share your files, and I'll show you how to get your machine set up so that your copy of InDesign looks like mine. So first up is downloading the source files, okay, so that you can play along with me. Depending on where you're watching this course, okay, first try might be going back to the home page of this course, and you'll see source files in kind of over this side of the video. Otherwise, check underneath this particular video, there'll be a useful links, okay, and see if the source file's in there. So download those and get ready. Next thing we'll talk about is sharing your work. All right, next up is sharing your work and asking questions. So best place is on the forum. Okay, so go to Envato Tuts Plus, okay, and go to the website and check out the forum. Okay, it's one of the top links on the website, and look for this course. Okay, it'll be labeled under InDesign for Beginners, and you can drop your questions and your homework that I said at the end of this in there. If you prefer though, you want to share it on social media, okay, on Twitter, we are Tuts Plus Design, or me personally, I am Dan Loves Adobe, or on Instagram, I am Bring Your Own Laptop. So questions and cool examples of the work you've done, you can share them that way. Next thing we need to do is hang around. We're going to jump in and get our computers set up so that yours looks like mine, so that we can start off pretty perfect. All right, let's jump onto the computer. All right, we're here inside the computer. I'm not sure why I dived there, but hey, we're here. First thing we need to do is we need to kind of like internationalize ourselves. Because if you're working with imperial or metric measurements, sometimes InDesign loads up with something called pickers. If you've never used that measurement before, we all need to get on the same page. We're going to use inches in this course. So we've opened up InDesign. Yours might look a little different from mine, but that's all right. On a Mac, you follow me first. Okay, so InDesign, go to Preferences and go down to Units and Increments. So that's if you're a Mac user. If you're a PC user, it's a very similar thing, but it's under Edit. And down here, you'll find something called Preferences and Units and Increments. Okay, so follow me in here. Now I live in Europe, so I end up doing lots of things with millimeters, okay, but we're gonna do this one in inches just because that's where most of the Tuts Plus crowd are from. Okay, so we're gonna click on inches. Yours might be sent to picers, okay, it's a kind of a more traditional print measurement. I don't even know how to use it. I always switch mine to inches and millimeters. So we're gonna use inches and inches. Strokes are typically used as points. We never change that. And I don't go and change anything else. One thing we might do while we're in here is go to the dictionary and just make sure you're using the language that's going to do your spell check, okay? So you can switch between English USA or English UK or whatever dictionary you need to use. Now the thing is with changing this preference, make sure when you're doing it that no documents are open. If you have no documents open, it's going to change it forever for all new documents. If I have one document open and then go and mess with it, it'll only change it for that particular document. So if you feel like you're changing it and it's never sticking, it's because you've got a document open. All right, next thing we're going to do is reset our workspace, just so that your version of InDesign looks like mine throughout the tutorial. The first thing we need to do is just open up any old document. We're going to make a new document, so File, New Document, and just leave all the defaults, whatever it's set to, I don't mind, click Create. We'll cover all of that better in a second. What I want to do is make your InDesign version look like mine. Okay, to do it, you go up to Window and just be sure you're on Essentials. Okay, so I'm using the version CC 2019. If you're using an earlier version, I'll talk about that just in a second, but you should be using the latest version if you can. Okay, so Workspace, make sure you're on Essentials, click on it. Okay, you should have a little tick next to it. And then you can go to Reset Essentials. Okay, and then watch what happens to my little workspace. It kind of resets to the predefined size. And hopefully now yours looks like mine and we can continue on. Now, if you're one of the people who are quite new to InDesign and Adobe programs, you might be like the person who loves to accidentally drag these out to places and they end up in weird spots and you're like, oh no, panels everywhere. Okay, to reset it all back, your get out of jail free card is Window, Workspace, and just make sure you're on Essentials. Click on this Reset Essentials again and whew, it's all back to normal. Now, if you're using an earlier version of InDesign, say 2018 or CS6 even, okay, you'll be able to follow along with this course. The trouble is going to be is you don't have this properties panel. Your version of Essentials will have the properties panel along the top. And while most of it is the same, you'll see a lot of the width and height along the top instead of the side. There are a few differences and you're just gonna have to figure out, okay, if you're looking for guides, you're probably gonna find guides, not in a handy little button here. You're gonna find it under Window and Guides. So you can play along, you just need a little bit more investigation involved. All right, so that's gonna be it. Let's close down this window, don't save it, and we'll move on to the next video where we start talking about new documents. Hey there, in this video, we're going to create the cover for our brochure. We're gonna create a new page and it's gonna end up looking nothing like this. It's gonna end up looking like this. A little more boring, but it's our first video. We're gonna learn how to create a page, how to work with margins, and what this bleed thing is all about. All right, let's jump in and get busy. Okay, to get started, close down any document you might have opened or any new document you created in the last video. Let's all go to Start. Let's go to New and go to Document. All right, this thing appears. Yours is going to be different from mine because I've got lots of recent things I've used. Let's go across to Print. Now, it doesn't really matter if you're using this for traditional print. Okay, you're going to send it to a printer for a brochure, or whether you plan on using this as a PDF at the end. Well, that's more to do with the export at the end. But we're going to start the same way. We're going to use print. We're going to use US letter. Okay, but obviously you can use A4 if you want. And can you see where it says view all presets? There's a bunch of other kind of like typical sizes that you can use in there. Business cards and compact disc. I assumed that had gone by now, but hey ho. All right, so let's click on letter, and over here on the right, let's discuss the basics. So width and height is easy. You can change your units. Okay, mine's going to be inches. Orientation, landscape, portrait, nice and easy. Number of pages, we'll just have one to start with. We're going to do that cover, and we'll add extra pages later on. Let's turn facing pages off for the moment. We'll talk about that later in the course, but just having one single page, just have that off. We'll start our page numbering at 1. And the only other thing we'll discuss is margins and bleed and slug. So margins is nothing really. It's just an invisible line around the inside of your page, just to give yourself some sort of, internal margin so that there's consistency away from the edges in InDesign. Okay, whenever I'm teaching somebody that's new, without margins, you end up kind of like some text is closer to the right than it is on the left. And margins is just a nice way of having consistent kind of borders on your document. In this particular design, I'm going to move mine up to like 1 inch. Okay, I'm going to click 1 and click over here. And because this link is broken, depending on yours, I think it remembers the last thing you did. So I'm going to put that on and they should all turn to 1 inch. Doesn't matter, just make sure they're all 1 inch all the way around. And next we're going to talk about bleed and slug. Okay, so we'll jump out to Real Dan and he'll explain you. I've got a magazine here that I'll show you. It'll better help you understand bleed. All right, I am back. Let's talk about bleed now in the real flesh. So bleed is, let's say that this is our the magazine that we're making, or the brochure. Okay, it's US letter and we've got the right size. Okay, but now we need to add bleed, and bleed is just a little bit around the edges, a little bit extra. Okay, that we have to add to a document when we're sending it to physical print. If this is going to be a PDF, we don't need to add bleed. Okay, because bleed is, let's say this picture of this handsome man here, we need it to be just a little bit bigger. It's normally about 3 millimeters or 1/8 of an inch. Okay, a little bit extra on the outside. okay? And that little bit of extra gets trimmed off at the end. You can see this magazine here, right? If I was producing this, this magazine would be the right size plus my bleed around the outside. And what would happen is if you were in the printing, like where they were printing this, they print all the pages separately, they perfect bind them, okay? Which means just gluing them along this edge, okay? And what you'll see is all these pages, like, can you see how flat it is here? You might not be on the video, but we know magazines are nice and flat, okay? That's not how they come. They actually get trimmed down to that size. So what they do is they print all the separate bits of paper, stick them together, and they're actually pointing all over the place. Okay, well, reasonably close, but they're all rough around the edges. To get them pretty, they slice off the edges. And that's why we need bleed, because you need a little bit of image to get sliced off and go into the bin. So there needs to be an overlap. Because if you had it right at the edges, this page might move, and it might leave some white around the outside. So you just make sure there's a little bit of like wiggle room for the guillotine to be cutting off. I'll show you another example. So say this coffee card or my business card, you can see this image here on my business card. You probably can't, but you can see there's a red square probably. Okay, I had to make sure that image was 3 millimeters or 1/8 of an inch bigger. Okay, and so that when they printed this, they probably printed this on a sheet of a bigger sheet. Okay, A3 or A2 sheet, and they stacked loads of them on there. Okay, and they made sure there's a bit of bleed on each of these business cards, and then somebody gets out a guillotine and cuts them. Okay, following something called crop marks, which we'll look at later on in the course, and a little bit of my business card ends up in the bin. But it means that I get that red line, okay, or that red image is perfect to the edge and it looks nice. That is bleed. When do you know to do bleed? Basically, whenever you're going to commercial print. If you're printing this in the office, you're not going to need bleed, because unless you plan on gluing it yourself and cutting it up, you're not going to need it. If it's going for PDF, you're not going to need it. But if you're sending it to the printer to get made, and this could be, say, you're doing an ad for a company, okay, and somebody's asked you to produce a print ad, they'll probably ask for bleed. They'll say it needs to be this high by this wide, and it needs 1/8 of an inch bleed. Okay, just ask them if they need it or not, whoever you're sending it to, and they'll have something called a spec sheet they'll be able to send you, giving you all the details you need. That is bleed. Slug. Slug, the short answer is you'll never use slug. It's like bleed, it's a little bit more around the outside. Okay, so where bleed was 1/8 of an inch, slug is a lot bigger. It's like 1/2 an inch. Okay, and you only use that if you're an actual printer yourself, and you'll add notes to the side. So you'll write in the slug, you'll write things like, make sure the top of this magazine is glued to this other insert. Like little notes like that go in the slug. I never use the slug. You'll probably never use the slug. There's some people that use it though. You'll use bleed potentially half the time, and you'll never use slug. I hope that helped. All right, that is bleed. There's a couple more things we need to do before we get going. So wait around, we'll jump back into the computer, and I won't do the dive this time, but we'll get in there and I'll show you how to finish off our page. All right, we're back. Let's put in the bleed. Okay, so you might have to twirl down this little arrow here to see the bleed, and make sure the little chain link broken, make sure it's connected. Okay, it means when we change one, they all change. And we're gonna put in 1/8 of an inch, which is okay, so 0.125. Okay, and I can click in any of these other boxes and it should move around, or 3 millimeters. You'll notice that I can actually just type in millimeters for afterwards. So if I know it's 3 millimeters, because I do this all the time, right? I have to do stuff for America, even though my brain doesn't think in inches. So I just type in the measurements, click over, okay, and it will convert it for me. It's close enough. It could be higher. Okay, it could be 1/4 of an inch. Check out what the specs are. I'm just giving you what's kind of like most common. All right, so 0.125 and the slug we ignore. And you ready? Steady, hit create. And here we are. If yours is maybe zoomed in like this, go to view. Let's click on this one here. It says fit spread in window. I should go back to this. Okay, so what are we looking at? The white area is the edge of the page. That's our US letter. This magenta kind of purpley line on the inside is our margin. It doesn't print, it's just there as a visual guide. Remember we did margins of 1 inch before? Okay, so just a little visual guide, doesn't print. The red line around the outside is our bleed. Okay, so you need to make sure, we'll do it in the next video where we actually start drawing. When we import images, they have to overlap to the edge of the red, but know that anything in this little kind of area here between the white and the red line is going to end up in the bin and be trimmed off. If your document is going both to print and it's going to be used as a PDF to be, say, downloaded from your website or emailed, just add bleed, because when you export the PDF for your website, it'll just exclude the bleed as well. So if in doubt, add bleed. It's easy to chop off at the end. Let's save our document, because at the moment up the top here, you can see it's called Untitled 4. Let's go to File, let's go to Save. And where you're going to put it, it's up to you. I'm going to put mine on my desktop for this class. I'm going to create a folder. So on a PC, it's different, right? Hopefully you can find the New Folder button. Otherwise, dump it wherever you dump your stuff, probably my documents. But I'm going to put mine, I'm going to be real responsible. I'm going to be on Desktop, New Folder. I'm going to call this one InDesign Tutorial. Create. Now so it's going to go in this folder. The name of the document at the top here is going to be, whatever you do, don't call it anything like brochure, because you'll end up, even though this is your first brochure, you'll end up with loads of brochures, okay? So you want to give it a specific name. So what I do is I give it the company name, because I work as a freelancer on lots of different jobs. And this one here is going to be called VNZ, Visit NZ. Okay, it's going to be the brochure. Often I'll put the date at the end, okay, just to make sure, because a brochure will get potentially redone every year, okay, and then a V1. Okay, never call it this. It's like the kiss of death. Okay, you've all seen it. Final 2, final new. Don't do that. Just call it V1, V2, V3, V4. You're laughing because you've done it. All right, so we've got our name. I'm going to click Save. The one thing we'll do before we go is, let's say that you've done it. You're like, oh, I need to change the margin or the size of the page or the bleed. To do it, just make sure on your Properties panel, okay, which is probably up. Okay, if you can't see your Properties panel, go to Window, go to Properties. And over here, you can see the basics. There's width and height, margins. The one thing you won't see is you won't see bleed. So go to Adjust Layout, and you can see bleed. It's a bit more hardcore, or a little bit more hidden in there. There you go. Let's click OK. And that, my friends, is how to create a new document. Let's jump into the next video where we start looking at creating and adding color. Hi there. This video is all about making color squares. We've got a big one, little one. Okay, but mainly it's about creating your own custom colors, what the difference between CMYK colors versus RGB colors are, and also how to make kind of pre-made corporate colors if you've got them, how to put them into InDesign and reuse them. All right, let's jump in now and work out color. Okay, so let's talk about color. So first up, let's create a rectangle. We need something for our color to show in. Okay, so there's two rectangles. The rectangle frame tool, okay, is like a placeholder. It's like a rectangle with a cross through it to say, in the future, images might go here. You're totally allowed to use those boxes. I never do. I just use the regular old rectangle, okay, which is underneath. Now, if you can't see the rectangle, you might be on ellipse. So you click, hold with your mouse key down, and then click on the rectangle tool. And draw out a rectangle, and yours is probably not going to look like mine. What ends up happening is it actually fills with whatever the last color you were using. So yours might have no fill, no color. Yours might have a line around the outside, but no center. Let's fix that. And at the same time, look at some of the colors. So I've drawn my rectangle. It's still selected. It's got little dots in the corner. As yours is not selected, grab this tool. Okay, it's the top black arrow. It's called the selection tool. Just click on it once. And over here in your appearance panel, you can see the fill and the stroke. The stroke is the line around the outside. So let's first of all go to the fill and click on the little square here. Yours might have a red line through it. It might be a different color. Okay, just click on, in my case, it's black. Okay, and over here, I'm going to click on this first option that says swatches. What is a swatch? They're just pre-mixed colors that InDesign decided these are the ones that you should be using, or at least the starting ones. And let's have a play. Okay, so let's first of all make the center of it green or red or yellow or magenta or whatever color you want to. Let's make it yellow, whatever you want to. Do what I say, make it yellow. Okay, and then with the stroke, now this thing here is kind of hovering out. To get rid of it, just kind of click in this no man's land up here, just click once. And this disappears back into its little house. Okay, let's click on the same little icon here, okay, with a stroke, and let's pick a color. And let's pick black, okay, because I want to show it as contrast. Over here next to stroke, see this little arrow here? You can use the drop down, Okay, and you can pick a bigger size, or you can just use this little up arrow or down arrow. They're tiny. Okay, but I guess I wanted to show you the difference between fill and stroke. Fill is the center part and stroke is the outside. So let's have a look at the different pre-made swatches you've got. Okay, so let's click on fill. Okay, I'm clicking on the little yellow little spot here, and I'm on my swatches, and down the bottom here, you'll see these are the premix colors. Those are, I don't need to really talk about those other than they're hideous. Okay, some premix colors. There's this one, black and registration, and they look exactly the same. I'm not going to cover registration too much now. It's a go and Google it type of thing, but never use it. Okay, it's a printers only thing. It's rich blacks. It gets quite, not complicated, but it's a whole nother video that will be super boring at this kind of level. Okay, we'll just use black. Don't use registration. The other weird thing is paper. Okay, although that's white, it's not empty. None means it's got nothing in the middle. Okay, watch this, I'll show you. I'll move it across to the edge, grab the edge of it. Okay, so grab the actual black edge of it to move it out. You can see that has a fill of none. But if I make it white, it's different. Okay, and when I say white, I mean paper. InDesign tries to be clever, and basically we all know if I put blue paper into my printer right next to me here and hit print, I'm not going to get any white. Okay, it's going to show through the blue paper. So that's the reason they call it paper and not white. Okay, so ugly colors, black and none, paper, never use registration. Now, let's say that we don't like these colors. Okay, we want to mix our own. We want to go super creative and we're going to mix our own color. You can use this option here. So we're on swatches, click on color, and down the bottom here, it's going to have this ugly slider. What we're going to do in this top little slidey thing, okay, the burger menu, okay, let's click on RGB. Okay, it changes to my red, green, and blue mixer, and we can just click it anywhere down in here. Okay, and pick our own custom color. Now, if yours is not changing, just make sure with your black arrow, you've got this guy selected, not selected, selected. Go back in here, go to my little color palette, and we should be able to pick any color we like. Now, you might have seen in there, you might have heard in the past, RGB versus CMYK. Okay, those are the two kinds of colors you're going to use. And you can see a real big difference there between this green, okay, which is RGB green, okay, or this kind of like, I want to say snifter green, but you wouldn't have snifters in your country. It's like a spearmint kind of lolly chocolate thing. Anyway, let's say spearmint. Peppermint is some kind of minty color. Now, RGB is what your computer screen uses to mix colors, and it's a bigger color range. It has more richer colors because your little monitor right in front of you right now has like lots of light coming out of it, luminance, that helps get some really crazy colors like this kind of like nuclear, like Madonna pink and kind of toxic green color. Okay, but when it comes to your printer, we all know if I printed that at your home computer, it's going to wash out, right? It's going to look great on screen and then get all washed out. And that's just because your printer doesn't have light coming out of it like your screen. So which color should you use? CMYK? Boo. RGB? Yay. Okay, so if your document, like this document here, this brochure, it's going to have dual purpose. It's going to be something sent to the printer. They're going to print it off. It's also going to be something that gets downloaded from our website or emailed out. So we'll start with RGB, and later on when we go to export, we'll convert it all to CMYK for the printer. Boo. So it's kind of best of both worlds. If you're only going to print, there is no point getting all excited with these colors, only to know that you're going to go to CMYK. And your next question is like, well, how do I make this better? Unfortunately, you can't. CMYK goes onto paper and just washes out. You can make it darker or lighter, but you can't make it that rich, vibrant color that it was. It's not possible with the inks that come with your printer. So the rule is, if I'm mixing colors and I am going to go, say I'm printing my business card, I'm not going to trick myself using this and only be disappointed later on, okay, by using CMYK when it gets printed. But if my business card is going to be used online for something, I'm going to use RGB, and then when I export, I'm going to export two versions. One for online, which will be RGB, and at the end, I can convert everything to CMYK in one fell swoop. So that's a bit of nerdy colorness. It's probably not what you were hoping for. You just wanted to mix some colors and keep going. But I guess at this stage, we need to start using the correct colors. We're going to use RGB in this case. Let's say we like this color. Okay, we want to use it a couple of different times. Instead of trying to mix it every time, you can go to this option here to say add to swatches. Remember, swatches is this first little panel here, okay, pre-mix colors. So I can randomly pick a color, back to my peppermint, and let's go to here and go to add to swatches. And if I go to my swatches panel now, right down the bottom, there's my RGB color, red, green, and blue. That makes this. So later on, I can go through and I can draw something, and I can go over to here to my fill, and down the bottom on my swatches tab, right down the bottom, there's my mint green. Hello, mint green. All right, let's say though that you're working for a company and they've already got colors. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delete that. I'll keep this guy here. And let's say that, yeah, we can't just use any old color. We've got to use our corporate colors. Now to get your corporate colors, you're gonna have to either talk to your designer or the designer who originally made your brand, or hopefully maybe you might even have a brand guideline somewhere. It's probably in your third drawer down, all dusty. Have a look through there and see if you can find the colors that the designers have decided that was right for your company. For Visit NZ or Visit New Zealand, I've got some corporate colors. Okay, I've typed them out for you in your exercise files. There's one in there called colors, double click it. Okay, and there they are there. And I'm gonna show you how to put them into InDesign. So I'm gonna do some rejigging of my screen. I don't want you to do this because I want you to carry on. I'm gonna stick it there so you can see it, I can see it. Actually, I'll stick it on the side. Make it easier for the editor to zoom in. All right, so I've got my black arrow selected. I'm in InDesign. I've got this selected. I'm gonna go to fill. I wanna create my own crazy color, but really, I'm gonna go to the little burger menu. I'm using RGB. And I'll just type in the numbers here. So you can see whenever they're listed, they're always listed as red, green, and blue. So you can see here, there's no it's not R equals or G equals. It always assumes, same with CMYK, it always assumes the same order. Okay, so 53, 120, and 114. That is the color. I'm gonna drop this down and say add to swatches. I'm gonna check my little swatches panel to make sure at the bottom there, it's there. Okay, and I'm gonna give it a name. I totally skipped that step. You double click it to give it a name. So we can see it says RGB numbers there. Just double click it anywhere along there. And let's go see what says name with color. Let's call this one VNZ green. And let's click OK. Makes it a little easier to work with. This little mint color we had before, I'm going to bin him. Goodbye. Nice. Okay, to bin him, you click on him and you hit the little trash can there. So I got my VNZ. Let's mix up the third color, which is the red. It's not quite red, but you'll get the idea. We'll do it one more time together and then we'll fast forward the last one. So make sure you've got this guy selected, click on fill, hit the little color icon, switch it to RGB. And in here, I'm gonna go 192. I'm gonna hit tab because I like tabbing through these to make it a little faster. Okay, so 192, 62, and 84. Okay, gives me I called it red. It's not red. Don't even know what to call it. It's stuck in the middle of my color naming groups. But anyway, you get the idea. Okay, we're gonna add it to our swatches. Just like before, we're gonna go to our swatches, double click it, and we're gonna say name with color value. No, thank you, VNZ. We're gonna call this one red, even though you're screaming at me going, it's not red. It's, oh, I don't even hazard a guess. It's like a rose. Oh, I don't know what to say. Let's click OK. Okay, and I'll get you to do the last one by yourself. Okay, it's a slate color. Okay, and I'll get the editor to speed me up. All right, I'll see you in a sec. All right, you're back. So let's apply our colors. So we'll start with this guy. We've used them. I'm going to give him the color of the slate. Okay, so the fill color, make sure it's on slate. When it comes to the stroke, okay, click on the little edge here, scroll to the top, go to none, make sure you're on swatches. Okay, and so it's got no line around the outside and it has got slate as the fill. Now we're going to resize this thing. So we're going to use the selection tool, so the black arrow, make sure it's selected. Let's grab this top left-hand corner. You'll notice that when you get close to the edge, you get this like diagonal arrows. Click on that and just drag it. Okay, I'm dragging it with my mouse. And where do I drag it to? Do I drag it to the edge of the white? No, we drag it all the way out to the bleed, okay, which is the red line. That means that there's this little chunk of the slate that's going to get sliced off by the guillotine and into the bin. You'll be like, why do you bother doing that? Why don't you just go to the edge? It's because often the guillotine is not as fancy as you think. Often there's just a person standing there with a guillotine, lining up your page, tongue out going, slice. Okay, and they need a bit of wiggle room to get it right or wrong, so they get it close enough. So you need a little bit of extra on there. So the bottom right, I'm gonna drag it down, 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 so it covers all the way to the edge of the red. If you've dragged yours, this happens, drag, and you end up kind of like, all over the place. Okay, don't worry, go to View, go back to Fit, Spread in Window, and it should come back to normal, and just be very careful. Go try and get it down there. All right, one rectangle. Let's grab the rectangle tool. There's lots of them that look the same, even me. I clicked on that one by accident. Okay, make sure it's a test. Okay, you gotta click on this one here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw out another rectangle, and this one here is going to be, just drag it in the middle, not too worried about it, and make sure it has a fill of, down the bottom here, VNZ green. Okay, and make sure it has no stroke. So click on stroke and go to none. Okay, I'm going to resize this one, grab the black arrow. I'm going to drag this down roughly about a third. Okay, and we're going to have this like two-tone. You saw it at the beginning of this video. You saw it at the beginning of the course, what we're kind of making, this kind of two-tony thing. So slate box, green box, let's do one more. Drag it out, and let's give it a fill of the not red, there you go. And make sure it's got no stroke, and we're not too worried about the size yet. We're gonna use this as background for some of the text we're gonna make. So just get used to resizing it. It's gonna be us for this video, bit of a long one, but we learned what RGB versus CMYK is, and we've looked at how to apply fills and strokes quite a bit. Plus we're getting used to InDesign in general. In the next video though, we'll do some more advanced navigation. But in the next video, we'll look at some basic navigation to kind of help you move around the document a little easier. Let's jump in and check that out now. Hi everyone, this video is just some basic navigation to work our way around InDesign and our document. First one is zooming in and out. There is a magnifying glass, okay? You can click on this, it's the last one in the toolbar. Click once to zoom in. And if you hold down the Alt key on a PC, or the Option key on a Mac. So look down your keyboard, you might have an Option key if you're on a Mac, you're probably gonna have an Alt key if you're on a PC. Hold that down and check my screen, you can see plus, turns into a minus. So if I hold down the Option key, I'm using a Mac, click once, zooms out. Let it go, click once, zooms in. Now I'm not gonna do too many shortcuts in this class, we'll do a little bit towards the end, but nobody uses that tool, okay? Because it's long and you've gotta go and change it. So go back to your selection tool, and we're gonna use this one. On a Mac, hold down the Command key, and hit plus. On a PC, hold down the Control key and hit plus. That zooms in. Right next to the plus key is minus. So minus zooms out, plus zooms in. So remember, Command plus on a Mac, Control plus on a PC. That's the one people use the most. Now, zoom in a bit like me. I'm zoomed in a few. Okay. Now, how do you move around once you're in here? You can use these little, see these little slide bars here? And they're fine. Okay. If you're finding InDesign quite tough in terms of just computers in general, this might be the best way to move around. But if you're not, and you want to be a little bit fancier, hold down the spacebar key on your keyboard. And watch my little cursor here. It changes from the arrow to this little hand. Okay. And if I click and drag the hand, so I got my spacebar down on my keyboard, click, hold, drag, click, hold, drag, click, hold, drag, let go of spacebar. I can start moving things around, hold spacebar, and I can move myself around. You can see it's kind of just sliding these little bars around. If that's too advanced, go back to sliding these little guys until later on, maybe you can practice with the spacebar a bit more. All right, let's go back to View, and we're gonna go to Fill, Fit, Spread in Window. You can actually use Fit Page in Window. Okay, so on my shortcut, I'm not gonna do too many shortcuts, but if you find like you're doing the same thing over and over, you're like, oh man, I'm always doing the old object, transform, move, or arrange center back, you can see they all have shortcuts on them. Mine are specifically showing for a Mac, but if you have a look through your menus, you'll see that lots of them have, it'll have your particular computer's version of it, okay? So if you're using a PC, that's gonna say Shift Control P. But anything you're doing repetitively, check what the shortcut is. And for me, one of the ones I use all the time is View and Fit Page to Window. Okay, click on that. So mine's Command 0, yours is gonna be Control 0 if you're on a PC. Zooms all the way out, nice. Okay, I've got this selected. So selection tool, red box selected. We've learned resizing, okay, by grabbing the corners. And rotation is, if you see my cursor here, you see the diagonal line means resize. But if I go just a bit further out, look, it changes to a curved arrow. If I hold my mouse key down and drag it now, that's how you rotate things. Okay, so there's this kind of like, I don't know, magic zone of between scaling and rotating and then nothing. So there's this kind of like zone that you can need to be in. Now, once you've practiced rotating, okay, and you want to get back to how it was, so there's an undo option. So let's go to edit, and there's this one in here called undo. The shortcut is Command Z or Control Z on a PC. So undo, edit, undo. You can see how the shortcut will be handy for this. So I'm undoing a few times. So edit, undo loads of times until this guy is straight again. Two more things I want to show you is I actually want this green box down the bottom to be a third of my document. Okay, I don't like it when I've just kind of like magically picked, I don't know, there's some weird things where if you actually divide things properly, like thirds, there's kind of an unwritten visual language that really helps when you are abiding by some of the rules. So rather than just like guessing half and going, yeah, it's about half, I don't know, the eye kind of looks at it and goes, well, something wrong about it. You can't put your finger on it, but it's just something a little weird about it. So I'm going to show you how to do a little bit of maths in these. So what I want to do is I'm going to make this green box the full size of the US letter. And over here, a cool little thing you can do is the width and the height, the W and the H. So the height, I'd like it to be a third. Okay, so it's 11 inches high. Instead of trying to do my math, which I'm terrible at, I can go divide. So I'm just using the backslash on my keyboard. Divide by 3, please. And hit enter on my keyboard. Magic, huh? So now I know that that is exactly 1/3. You can divide it by half. You can times it by 2. Timesing, by the way, is in here. It's the asterisk, okay? It's normally tied in with your number 8 key or over on your number keypad. But if I times this by 2, I did the width, times by 2, you get the idea. I'm going to go back to my edit, undo. And now I know that that is exactly 1/3. I'm going to stretch it out to be part of the bleed. And now my happy little graphic designer brain says, that's how it should look. Things are lined up with the margins for no good reason, and that is exactly 1/3. Two other things I want to show you is the arrange. So let's say that I grab my green box and I want it to be over the top of this pink box here, okay? But you can see this guy's on top. I call it pink, it's red. Red, not red, nuclear red. Let's agree on nuclear red. I had a motorbike once that was nuclear red. Everyone else thought it was pink. But anyway, we want the green box to be above the nuclear red box. So with the green box selected, let's right click it and let's go to arrange and let's bring it to the front. Cool, huh? So that's how you kind of move the order of things. So that's at the back now, then this nuclear red box, then the green box. Let's say I want the nuclear red box to be back at the front. I can right click it and say, actually, I want to go to arrange, bring to front. If you are finding problems with right clicking, you're like, hey, my Mac doesn't have a right click. You can, all the things that are hidden in the right click, which are quite helpful, can be found in these top menus. I happen to know that object, arrange is in here somewhere. Where are you? Right at the top, and bring to front. It's grayed out at the moment because it's already at the front, okay? But I can send it backwards. Object, arrange, bring to front. All right, one last bit of navigation I want to show you. I want to put that back there, is the W key. So be on your black arrow, hit the W key on your keyboard, click on it. Look at that. It's more what it's going to look like when it prints. Okay, it's not exact, but it gets rid of all the little kind of bits around the edges. Okay, so let's click off in the background. So to deselect, there's a long way. Let's go to edit and go down to deselect. You could use the shortcut as well, which is Command A. Means I've just got nothing selected, or do what everyone does and just click with your black arrow over here somewhere in no man's land. Just let's go over everything. How to get back? Hit the W key again. W on, W off, on, off, on, off. Okay, it's just really handy. Can you see it even hides the bleed? Because we know that that's going to be trimmed off in the bin. So when I hit W, watch it, just goes. It gives me a kind of a more of an idea of what this thing's going to look like. And just, I don't know, a bit of visual cleanliness. The long way for that is down here. Can you see this one? If I click on that, or I click and hold that down, okay, normal, preview. Hold it down again, normal, hold it down, preview. You can see how tiresome that is by clicking it, but that's the long way. And that is it for kind of basic navigation. Zooming in and out, Command plus or minus, or Control plus or minus. When I am zoomed in, spacebar moves me around. Clicking on things, there's this no man's land for rotation. Edit, undo to get it back. We can do some basic math in these fields. Remember, divide by 3, times by 2, and my favorite, the W key. Goodbye. W, 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 W. Oh, one little tip though is if you're in the type tool, which we'll do a little bit later on, and you start typing the W key, what's going to happen? It's just going to type a W. So you might have to go the long way. But as long as you're not in the type tool, the W shortcut is perfect. All right, that is going to be it for navigation. Let's get into the next video, which we will look at fonts and type, all that sort of good stuff. I'll see you there. Hey there, this video we're going to put in text. Yay! We'll do some basic formatting, add some text boxes. It's all very exciting. Let's get going. All right, to get started, if you're zoomed in like I am, let's zoom completely out. You can use the long way under View, but we're going to start using shortcuts. Remember, Command 0, not O, that's on a Mac, or Control 0. Ready? Oh, nice. Make sure the W key is switched to, it's called normal mode, okay, where you can see all the lines and edges here. Okay, let's draw a text box. Nice and easy. Grab the type tool. Okay, it's this capital letter T here. And when you're drawing a text box, it's always better to draw on the side here and then bring in your text. If you start trying to draw straight on top of images and rectangles like this, InDesign has this clever way of trying to connect them up and becomes quite confusing. So over here on the right hand side, I'm going to click, hold down my mouse key and drag out a box. Nice big box. It's not really, don't worry too much about it. And I want you to type the word discover. Okay, and type to adjust it. Okay, we're going to highlight the text. Okay, so with the type tool, just kind of drag over it. Now with it selected, you can see over here, we've got character and paragraph, the basics at least. The top one here, Minion Pro, click this little drop-down menu, and you can go through all the fonts that are on your computer. You're not gonna have the same ones as me, so I'm going to, for the moment, stick to our Minion Pro. Okay, but have a look through. You'll notice that there's a nice little preview there. Yours might look a little different from me, but pick a font. But don't worry, we're going to change it in a second. So don't spend the next half an hour picking a font because we're going to change it. I'm going to use Arial. Let's go crazy. Okay, so that's the font. Underneath it is whether it's bold, italic, that jazz. Okay, option here, font sizes. Okay, if you increase it up, obviously it's going to go up. We're not going to cover everything in too much detail because font adjusting is not that unique to InDesign. Okay, so font size, this next one here, leading, that's an interesting one. It's the space between lines, okay, or line spacing. They just call it leading in InDesign. You won't use kerning, but you'll use tracking. It's the space between letters. Left align, centered, right align. We'll stick it to left align at the moment. Now what I want to do is I want to change the color of this font, and it's easy when it's selected because you can kind of see my fill has changed from that kind of full cube to this capital T to describe that I'm changing the font color. I can pick, say, our V and Z red, okay, and you're like, but it's green. If I go back to my black arrow, okay, click it a couple of times, you'll see that it's actually the right color. But when it's highlighted, it inverts it. So it's kind of a bit strange. So go back to your selection tool. The reason I want to show you this is that later on, as soon as you finish this video, you're going to go and do your own stuff and you'll be like, oh great, I'm going to go and change the color of this font to, it's not changing the font color. So I'm going to go to edit, undo. What you need to do is one of two things. You need to have it selected to change. Can you see now it's gone back to the fill color, which is cool. Now it's going to work. Or if you don't want to have it selected, like highlighted like that, you can select it with your black arrow, which is cool. And just like before, if we click on this, it's not going to quite work. Okay, remember it's going to do that. Okay, I'm going to undo. What you can do before you click on a color, where it says apply to, you can say actually apply to the text, not the frame. They call that the text frame. That's the box that it's in. I'm going to say actually apply to the text, please. And I'm going to go in here and pick slate or magenta or yellow. I'm going to pick paper actually, because I want it to be over the top of this background color here. So either highlight the text to change the color, or with your selection tool, you can apply to and just change it in here to text. One of the other things I want to show you is what happens when we hit the W key, because you're like, oh, I'd love to see this font. I'm going to click off in the background so it's not selected. I'm going to hit that. What was the key you remember? To get rid of all the lines and stuff around there, you remember it's the W key. I'm going to click it. And you're like, oh, gasp horror, it's gone. Okay, it's because it's out in this pasteboard area, this area here, which is going to be thrown away in the bin, so it hides it from you. So if you want to see it, you've actually just got to, it's got to be on the page somewhere. Okay, if you're half on the page, you can only half see it. Just so it'll stop a freak out later on anyway. So you can work in this preview mode. There's nothing wrong with it, okay? Just know that, yeah, you can't see stuff that you've left over here on the side. Now I'm going to put this word here, discover. I'm going to increase the font size up something nice and big. I don't even know yet because it's not going to be the font I'm going to pick. But what will happen though is if your font, if your rectangle is not big enough, look what happens when it gets to the edge. Dun, 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 dun. Ah, it's gone completely. Okay, you might have started this tutorial like this and you're like, it's been like that forever, Dan. It's because the text is just too big to fit. So you've got to do one of two things. You've got to make the box bigger. So grab my black arrow, the selection tool, and just go, here you go. There's more room for you, buddy. Okay, because if you get smaller, it doesn't fit. Okay, so you've either got to do that or draw another text box. Or say it's like this. What I do is I grab my type tool, click inside of there somewhere, go to select all. It's kind of a bit of wishful thinking, this one, right? So you click in there and go to select all. Where is select all? There he is there. So I've selected all the text, even though I can't see it. And I'm going to make the font size a whole lot smaller until it appears. Better still, when you're new, don't be on the W key. Okay, so I'm going to click off on the background. So I've got nothing selected. Hit W. Just delete it. Select it. Delete it. Start again. Draw a bigger box and make sure you've got a smaller font. I'm going to undo all that because I actually had mine okay. So I'm going to go edit, undo, Command Z a couple of times. You'll notice Command Z doesn't work when you're in the type tool. So if I hit Command Z now or Control Z on a PC, it didn't work. Sometimes you just got to kind of click out of everything and then it will do it fine. All right, so I've got this word discover. I'm going to make it a nice big text box for it to fit. I'm going to, instead of drawing out another text box and writing the words New Zealand, I'm actually just going to select it with my black arrow, go to edit, copy, and then edit, paste. I've got a second version of this. This one here, I'm going to change to all caps, New Zealand. Make sure there's enough room for it. There we go. Okay, we've put in some ugly text. You might have picked some beautiful character text. We're going to look at something in the next video called Adobe Fonts, and it's going to expand your font horizons with lots of cool, amazing fonts that you get to use commercially. Let's finish this video, wrap it up, and jump into the next one. Hey everyone, this video we're going to take our boring old fonts, sorry Arial, and transform it into these pretty fonts. Or at least I think they're pretty. All right, let's jump in and I'll show you the world of Adobe Fonts. They're free, the commercial use. There's loads of them. They come as part of your Creative Cloud license. Oh my goodness, where are they? I'll show you in a sec. All right, to find these amazing fonts that Adobe have gifted to us, let's use our black arrow and let's click on the word discover. And before we start messing around with fonts, you really need to make sure that it's either, you'll notice in between videos, I played around with my font size, couldn't help myself, but doesn't matter what font size it is, you just need to make sure the box it's in is big enough. So grab the black arrow, move it, even though it's not lined up with anything, just so there's a bit of space. Because if we start picking fonts that happen to be a bit bigger, they'll end up doing what we did in the last video. Remember, they got cut off, okay, and we couldn't see them. That, by the way, is called overset text, okay, and you can kind of see that little red plus sign. Okay, that is the like visual indicator for that happening. So make sure it's big enough that you can see stuff. And in this 2019 version, they've added this really cool way of interacting with them. If in the past you've heard of something called Adobe Typekit, okay, that was the original name for this thing. It's now just called plain old Adobe Fonts. Okay, so we've got this selected. I can see my character. If you can't see character, you might have to highlight your text with the type tool. Okay, but I can see mine fine. Let's drop this down and this window appears. Okay, fonts. This little icon here, or this little button here, is the fonts that are on your machine. Okay, you'll have some. Okay, this one that says find more, it's a magic button. Click on it. The cool thing about them is that this is looking at Adobe's, not yours, fonts. Okay, and they have loads of them. Now, if your internet connection is super slow, mine's reasonably slow and it keeps up okay. If yours is super slow or you're offline, this feature is not going to work. Okay, because what it does is you're going to pick a font and it's basically Adobe are going to download it for you. So a couple of things. You can just hover. You can see it's picked that font there. Can't even pronounce that font. So I'm going to work with Evolution. Did I say that right? Ebrel. I can say that one. Okay, so you can move through these fonts. It's cool, huh? These are just fonts that you're allowed to use commercially on the house from Adobe. Cool, huh? The one thing to note is that, see this one here, Abigail? You can see it's not appearing. You're like, oh, what's wrong with it? It's that same problem. Can you see my like little plus there? It means that this box is not big enough. That font is just ginormous. So we go back into it. I made the box bigger. Gonna go into find more. I'm gonna find Abigail. You can see it fits now. So I can see it. So just make sure the box is big. I love Ebrel Fat Face. You don't need to do anything, you just hover above them. If yours is not working, it means your internet connection is super slow or you're not logged in to your Creative Cloud account. If that's true, it's either using an early version of InDesign, and this doesn't exist, or up under Help, okay, you can see in my case, I'm logged in to my account. Okay, if yours says log in, it means it doesn't know who you are, and you should log in and try and remember that Adobe password that you've forgotten. Okay, so just make sure you're logged in and this stuff will work. So to activate the font, so find more, you can scroll through here to get a font to work. Let's pick one crazy font so it's easy to see. Oh, no way, Jose. Okay, I feel like it's on the cover of lots of like tourist magazines, right? Discover Southeast Asia or New Zealand or Australia. Anyway, what you can do is you can click on it, okay, and it just downloads it magically in the background and it's ready to go. Cool, huh? If your internet connection again is real slow, it'll take a little bit of time, but it will download eventually. If it's still not working, like this interaction is being blocked by your firewall at work or something, you can go to fonts.adobe.com and you can get them that way. There's like a web interface. It's not as easy as this. Other things you can do with these Adobe fonts, or even your own fonts. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether you're using fonts or find more. So your computer, Adobe's ones, is this filters appears on both of them, and it's pretty spectacular. So let's say that you're a designer like me and you've downloaded a zillion fonts in the last, I don't know, 15 years. I've borrowed or appropriated fonts from all sorts of places. And what I wish is I had the time to go through and kind of like tag them, like all handwritten fonts in a group, something like that. Adobe, magically, with your own fonts, go to filters and you can say, actually show me the handwritten ones. And it's gone through my particular computer and shown me all the fonts that look like they're handwritten. It's too good. And if you go to find more and do the same thing and say, actually, I want to see the handwritten ones, you'll see lots, okay? When you like one, hover above it, it's showing me over here, okay, and I can just click it to download it. There's options in here for, let's say I want a serifed font that has like little feet off the edges, but I want serif font, but I want a condensed width one. So it's like narrow. You can see there, look at that, super narrow. But let's say I want this, but I also want it to have not the numbers that drop down. Can you see these like old style figures where the weird numbers drop off the side? You don't want to pick a font for a company that has those weird numbers. You can click ones that only fonts that are serifed, that are narrow, that have numbers that all sit on the baseline nicely. There's lots of different options in here. So go through, click on them. You can clear them all. What I want to do is I want to go and actually search for one. All right, to search for one, what you can do is kind of, it's not in here, kind of click out, click back on this thing. And instead of using the drop down, just type it in here. So I'm going to delete whatever it was there. The one I want is linotype, and it was called D. So hopefully you can read that there. So just delete what was in there and just type it in. You can see it's not found anything on my machine, but if I go to find more, still didn't find it. If I just type in D. There it is, D. Find more. So don't type in linotype. They've called it LT for linotype. So D. I want basically pro bold, bold italic, headline, italic, and Roman. So I'm just going to go through and click that one, activate, don't show again. That's quite repetitive. I'll get you. You don't have to get this font. You can just click on any font you like, except for Comic Sans and Brush Script. You are forbidden to use those fonts for no good reason other than I don't like them. You're allowed to like them. You can see up the top there, it's activated 3 fonts. Okay, the other fonts we're gonna download are one called Roboto. So that same thing again, I'm gonna click on it. I'm gonna say down here, delete all that, just type Roboto. I already have this one installed, so it's appearing under my fonts. But if yours probably doesn't, go to find more and then start downloading the ones you want. There's lots in terms of Roboto. So maybe pick just the bold, black, forget all the condensed, maybe get the light version, and maybe the medium. So medium, light, bold, and black, just for this course. We're gonna use it. You can see it's quite a plain font. We need a body copy font, and that D dot is going to be our more kind of like flamboyant heading font. So in terms of good body copy fonts, Arial and Helvetica and Calibri are all ones that are kind of default in our world, right? Word dishes them up and they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. But if you're looking for something a little bit more special, a little bit more like designery, not a word, but Roboto is a nice good one. Okay. And other ones, another one that gets used really often is something called Open Sans. Okay. It's another real good body copy one, or Source Sans. Write that down because you might pick Open Sans for this one, and for another client or another job, you just want something a bit different. Source Sans, Open Sans, or Roboto are really good, just kind of getting started body copy fonts. Easy to read, has lots of different languages in them as well. All right, so we're going to go and apply them. So this guy here, I'm going to make him the D dot. Okay, and he's going to be D dot, which one? Just kind of scrolling through them to find the one I want. Pro, that was already on my machine, so I'm just going to use Pro Bold. Font size, this is up to you. Depends on my size of my word in this case. That's going to work for me. I've got mine up to 78, and I'm going to shrink this box in a little bit so it's a bit more usable. In terms of New Zealand, I'm going to use that contrasting font. Often it's good practice just to have two sets of fonts, a kind of a heading font and a body copy font. Mine's going to be Roboto. I'm just typing it in down here, and I'm going to use Roboto Light. You might be like, it looks exactly like Arial, Dan. Yeah, it does. I'm not going to argue with you. I like pick different fonts. So what I'm going to do is I'm just kind of moving this around. One thing, a little tip is you're getting it close and it really wants to snap to things, which is normally really cool. And you're like, oh, stop snapping. If you kind of click on it with your black arrow, just use your keyboard. I'm just looking down at my keyboard here. There's up, down, left, and right arrows, the cursor keys. Okay, you can just use those to tap things around just to kind of get it where you want. I'm going to extend the tracking on this, which is tracking is the space between letters. So over here, that's the tracking, and I'm going to increase it up a little bit. A lot. Too much. There's no official rules on how much you can track something out. It'll depend on the size of the font you're using, the kind of font, and how, I don't know, designery you want to be. All right, so I'm now just going to resize the pink box, try and get it to the right sort of size. I'm aligning everything with this margin because it's going to add some, remember, the visual consistency for this document. And I'm going to start moving it all down. So I'm going to say U. It's really hard sometimes. See this box here is right on the top. I'm going to move it so I can click on the pink box easy. And this is going to bring up a big point. I want to move them all down in one go. How do I do that? Okay, because I can do them all separately, but it's a pain. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the pink box first, and then I'm going to hold down my Shift key. That's both Mac and PC. Hold down Shift and click on the word New Zealand once. You can kind of see it's got both of them selected. Okay, and I can move him down as a little group. If you want them to stay as a little group forever, you can go to Layout, and you can go to this one. Nope, you can go to Object, and you can go to Group. Okay, there's a shortcut, Command G or Control G on a PC. I don't want them to be together forever because I'm not too sure where they should go. Okay, I'm dragging Discover back. Now, what was the key I need to? I want to get rid of all this junk around the outside so I can see it all. Remember, W. Okay, and you can kind of see New Zealand's not quite in the middle there. There we go. Nicer. All right, so those are Adobe fonts. They're kind of weirdly hidden. Remember, click on text in there and it's just this find more. If you have turned on filters, just so you know, if you turn on filters, turn on crazy filter, okay, decorative fonts, it will be on every time you go in there. So if you're in there and you're like, man, there's some weird fonts. It's because you've left one of the filters on and it stays on. So make sure you clear all. Click off in the background here. It's looking nice. You might have watched this video and gone, awesome. I can't change my font because you've got a corporate font and you're never allowed to change it because it's been Arial since the dawn of time. But if you end up doing your own project, you get to pick your own fonts. If you can't find your corporate font in there, you need to find it from your designer, ask them to send it to you, or you need to go and buy it. If you're going to buy a font, something like myfonts.com is a really common place to go buy fonts. I wouldn't be buying fonts anymore now that Adobe have given us all these free fonts. okay, unless a client comes to me and say, we use Garamond and you have to use it because that's our corporate font. And if I don't have it, I'll go to My Fonts and I'll check it's not in Adobe Fonts first. And if it isn't, I'll go off and buy it using something called myfonts.com. There are competitors to that, but that's where I go. All right, that is enough fonts for one video. Let's get into the next video where we start adding images. Bring on the images. Hi everyone, welcome to the image video where we discuss images. I'll show you where to find them, where to get free ones from, how to use commercial images, how to flip and resize them, and we're going to learn what the frame versus the image is. That's why this section is so long. One of the quirks of InDesign, let's dive in now and work out how to do it. All right, let's first talk about the two main food groups when it comes to finding images. Okay, so there is one called royalty free, okay, and one called free. So royalty free means you pay a small fee and you don't have to then pay royalties afterwards, hence royalty free. So one of the main sites for this is Envato Elements. Okay, this site here means you pay $15 a month, okay, and you get access to their whole library of assets. You can see here one subscription, like nearly 1 million assets, and you get to download them as many as you like. It's a brilliant resource, and it's for people like me who are a professional freelancer, designer, or somebody working in an agency, or somebody working in a company that need the ability to download images quickly without having to search through the free stuff. So I'll show you some actual free places to get things, which is perfect, but you'll find the depth isn't there. For me, say I need to search for, say, something like New Zealand. Okay, click on New Zealand, do a search, and you'll see there's graphic templates, which we'll look at later on. There's actual InDesign templates you can use, all part of the same license. Cool illustrations, photographs, that's the one I want at the moment, but there's fonts, there's all sorts of templates, loads of cool things that come with that $15 a month. But if I look at images here, you'll notice that New Zealand's not a specific, like I guess it's a unique kind of small spot, and there is just a huge depth of images that I get to use. Okay, so I can download these, use them commercially, as many as I like. I get to use them for my print, say in InDesign. I get to use them for web things. I get to use them for email campaigns, but there is a fee associated to it, that monthly $15 subscription. So let's say that you are broke or you're getting started and you don't want to spend $15 a month. Okay, you can go to the actual free images. And the cool thing about these sites is that they're commercially usable. So you can actually use these, the photographers that add them to the site say that, yep, you can use my images commercially. That's fine. I'm okay with that. So one of the big ones is Unsplash, and probably my favorite. There's a couple of other ones, Pixels with an E, okay, or freeimages.com. They have different libraries, so if you can't find it in Unsplash, try one of the other two. You'll notice here that the images are just as amazing, okay, so they're still, I'm typically amateur photographers, but still the quality is through the roof. The trouble is the depth is not there. So doing a search for New Zealand will get me some cool images, okay, but not the variety that I need professionally. I just need to get an image, get it quickly, not be digging around for a long time in the free stuff. Now it's pretty easy to download an image. Okay, you just click on this little arrow here. I've gone through and found there's a photographer on here that I know, Philip Botha. Okay, he is amazing photographer, an all-round creative professional. And I reached out to him and he said it was fine for using his images, and I've got them in our exercise files ready to go. So let's jump into InDesign and I'll show you how to start importing images. All right, now we need to bring in an image. Okay, so first of all, make sure you're not in preview mode. Okay, we want to see all the junk because we're going to drag it over on the edge here like we did our type and then bring it in. So an easy way to get started, just put everything on the pasteboard, drag it over. Remember W key. The other thing we need to do is make sure we've got nothing selected. So black arrow, click in the background so you've got nothing selected, and you should hopefully see Quick Actions, Import File. Click on that. And in here, in your exercise files, we're going to bring in fills image 1. Okay, and let's click open. Now, when you're bringing in an image, there's two ways. If you click once, bad. It's not bad, but you click once and it brings it in at its full size. I'm going to zoom way out. You can see it's a ginormous image and it's not really usable doing that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Edit, Undo. Okay, and I'm kind of back to that stage. So instead of clicking once, you click, hold, you drag your mouse out to whatever size you kind of roughly want it. You can see that's just a little bit more usable. You get it down to, even if you want it really big, it's easier to kind of start it off with a reasonable size so you can see the image. The next thing to learn is that the image here is actually two parts. There is a frame and an image inside the frame. Like a picture frame on your wall, okay, the image is separate from the frame. And if you've tried to self-teach InDesign, it's one of their weird, quirky things. So let's discuss that. So if I use my black arrow and I grab one of these corners, watch this, and I drag it up over here, you can see I've adjusted the frame, but the image didn't change. Okay, so I'm going to go to undo. The way to move the image or work on the image as well as the frame is you need to hold down two really weird shortcuts. This is where you get your pen out, where your post-it note, and this is the one shortcut you can't forget. You need to hold down on a Mac, it's Command Shift, and on a PC, it's Control Shift, and then drag the corner. And it does kind of more like how you'd want it to do. That's kind of more traditionally, you want to resize an image, you drag the corner. But if you don't hold those two keys down, it does this. Good work, InDesign. Anyway, I'm going to undo. So make sure you hold down both of those keys and grab the corner. Okay, and we can resize it to the size we want. So frame separate from the image. Let's have a look at adjusting the image separate from the frame. I only show you this because you're going to break it. You're going to go, oh, look, I'm going to move the image. And you're going to go, Rup. And you can see if I grab that little target in the middle, it's called the content grabber. If I grab that target in the middle and drag it, it drags the image, but not the frame. You're like, weird. Especially when you drag it this way, you like drag it all the way out and you're like, it's gone. Okay, so I'm going to undo it. So undoing it, clicking off on the background and clicking back on it once, but not the content grabber. I never click on this guy. I never click on him. Yeah, it's a good idea. I always click anywhere but, okay, and then click and drag anywhere but that. And content grabber moves the whole thing together. But if you did want to move just this guy, maybe to, you wanted to trim it up a little bit, look at that, it's like a mask. Cool, huh? I'm gonna undo again. And if yours has gone horribly wrong, delete it. Let's go back, nothing selected, import file. Let's go to image 1. Drag them out again. So we're back to kind of, all right, so we learned that there's a frame and there's a separate image inside of it. Let's make that work to our advantage. So what I want to do is drag it anywhere but the content grabber and put it in the top left-hand corner here. I want to make it kind of cover this whole slate box here. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to grab the edge here and I'm going to scale it up. I want the whole thing to come up. What keys do I hold down? Check your post-it note. You definitely wrote it down right. Remember Mac, it's Command Shift, and on a PC, it's Control Shift. Drag it until it gets to this right-hand edge here. Kind of lines up here roughly. And what we'll do actually is zoom out a little bit so you can see the edges like I can. I don't want you in too close. I want you to keep holding those two keys down. Okay, the Command Shift or the Control Shift. Okay, and keep dragging it up. So we'll do the height. Can you see here? I want it to kind of line up roughly with the slate. Don't worry if it's not perfect, but do make sure you move it so it's up and kind of going to be cut off in the bleed here. Okay, so it pokes off the top and the left. And this right-hand side here, you could leave. There's no reason you'd have to chop this off. When we make a PDF to send to the printer, it'll chop it off for us. But me, I can't deal with this big lopsided thing. So I'm going to adjust just the frame so I don't hold down any keys. I grab this guy and just drag it across. So I'm not holding anything. I've got my selection tool. You can kind of see how InDesign wants you to have a frame and an image. Bit of a pain to get used to when you're brand new, but actually after a while, it's pretty good. All right, so the frame is kind of adjusted. Now this is where the content grabber becomes quite nice, is that I can say, actually, I want to drag the image, but not the frame. And you're like, now I understand the weird content grabber thing. You can see I can kind of move it across. All right, it's looking good. You can start to see it's red. When it's red around the outside, it means you're dealing with the image. If I click off, click back on, when it's blue around the outside or cyan, okay, that means I'm dealing with the frame. Okay, so if I click the content grabber, red box means dealing with the image. If I click off, click back on, I'm dealing with the frame. All right, last couple of things I'm going to do before we move on is flipping an image comes up a lot. So with it selected, go to object, and you can see there's a bunch of transform options. If you want to rotate it, I'm not going to go through them all, but flip horizontally, vertically. I always get that wrong. Here you go. So there's all your kind of basic transforms for images. And the last thing I'll show you is how to replace an image. Let's say you like that image, but the client comes back and says, don't like it. So we want to switch it. So black arrow, make sure nothing is selected. Click on it once, not in the content grabber. And over here, it says import file. Okay, and because it's selected, it should override it. Let me show you why. Let's click on it. Let's click on fill both the image number 2, and this should be on by default. If it's not, turn it on. You can see what it's going to do. Replace a selected item. We had him selected, so now we've got this guy. Trouble with this fella is that he's a different size, so we need to do some adjustments to him. The frame is the right size, but the thing in the inside isn't, right? So how do we adjust the image? So let's click on the inside, okay? The content grabber, now we've got the image selected. We might be able to just drag it around, but in our case, it's still not big enough. So what we're gonna have to do is resize the image inside the frame. We hold down the same shortcuts as before, Command and Shift on a Mac, Control Shift on a PC. And you can it just means it locks the height and width. It means that I can make this thing a lot bigger. Okay, you can go outside the frame, that's fine. I'm gonna drag it up this way as well, okay? And even though it's overlapping, that's fine. I'm gonna let go of those two keys and kind of use my content grabber. Now it's handy content grabber. Okay, there you go. Love that image. Phil, you have to jump in with the comments to tell me where it is. It's the South Island of New Zealand, I know, but sure where. Beautiful. The last thing I want to show you before we go away is if yours isn't looking beautiful, if you're like, man, mine looks really pixelated, wonder what's wrong. Okay, is with the image selected, so black arrow, click anywhere around here, you might go to View, go to Display Performance, and you should be on High Quality Display. That's on by default most of the time now. Maybe it goes to Typical. I'll show you what Typical looks like. Just makes it kind of not as nice. You can see there, yours might be looking like that, and you'll be like, It'll print fine. Just means your computer might be a bit slow, and it's kind of compensating by putting it as typical display. Doesn't change the output, just means your computer runs a bit faster. If your computer is struggling, you might manually go and switch it to typical display. I'm gonna switch mine to high quality because I got a really good computer. All right, last thing before we go is that you're probably like, it's covering all the text, Dan. And I hadn't noticed. I'm too busy showing you how images work. So how do we send it to the back? If you've already done it, you get a high five. If you haven't, or you've struggled, or you haven't tried yet, let's do it together. Okay, so this image needs to go to the back, or at least behind the text. So with it selected, do you remember from earlier on? You right click, you go down to Arrange, and you go to Send to Back. And it's gonna half work. Goes all the way to the back, okay? And the problem is we've got this slate box that we drew that's in front of it now. So I'm gonna click off, click back on, and the slate box here isn't useful for anything. I'm gonna delete him. Okay, he was there to fill that gap at the top and for us to practice our sweet color making skills, but now he's not needed. You could have right-clicked him and sent him to the back as well, but he wouldn't print, he wouldn't be really useful for anything. All right, that's it. Images over and out for actually just this video. We'll do a little bit more images in the next video where we discuss image resolution. But for now, don't worry if you are finding the frame versus image inside the frame a little bit confusing. It happens to everybody. You might have to watch this video a couple of times, and it really comes down to experience and practice. All right, that's it. See you in the next video. Hi everyone, in this section we're going to talk about image resolution. What is it? You might have heard about it before, might have been confused about it before. Basically it's the quality of the image, okay? Will it print nice or will it display nice as a PDF? That's what we're going to discuss. So image resolution, like basically it's high quality images versus low quality images. Does it look good? Does it not? And it comes down to a number, anywhere between 72 and 300. Where do you find that number? So first thing we need to do is go to Window, make sure you're not in preview mode. Okay, so hit W key, go to Window and go to this one called Links. Your links panel will show you your images that are used in this document. You can see there, it shows me I've got image 2 used somewhere in this document. It actually tells me it's on page 1. So that's handy. What's even more handy is it'll tell me its resolution. So I'm gonna click on it once, and down here in this tiny little window, okay, which is a little hard to use, it'll show me lots of information about this particular image. I'm gonna see this like little tab at the bottom here. I'm gonna click and drag it down so I can see more. You can see here, it tells me it's an image, it's a JPEG, it's RGB, all lots of useful stuff. What I'm looking for is this one called effective PPI. PPI is short for pixels per inch. If you're old school, dots per inch, DPI is exactly the same thing. They just call it PPI now. And it's called pixels per inch because if I zoom in, I'm zooming. If I zoom in on the image enough, you'll start to see it. It's a little hard to see probably in the video, but you can see the tiny little pixels that make up this image. Us as humans, if we zoom out far enough, we don't see those little pixels. It looks like a lovely continuous image. Okay, and basically how many, say you got an inch squared here, the PPI is how many pixels are in that inch. So PPI is pixels per inch. So any inch on this page, there is currently 278 pixels jammed into that inch. And basically the higher this number, the better quality it will look or appear as a print or on a screen. If this said 2000, it would be, if I zoomed in, you'd see a lot more pixels crammed into that 1 inch. Confused? Yes. Okay, so basically we've got two numbers. 72 PPI is fine and will look really good if you're going out for digital means. So like a PDF that's going to be emailed or downloaded from a website or viewed on a website. Okay, so 72 is as low as you can go. If I use 72 though, and say I get this guy, I zoom this up, I'm gonna make it bigger, holding my 2 keys down, Command and Shift. If I keep making it bigger, can you see I'm stretching this image, and that same inch hasn't changed size, but there's just less little pixels that get to go into it because I'm making it bigger. Okay, and if I get this up to about 72, roughly, I'll make it bigger this way. I don't want you to do this, as a bit of a pain, but you can see I'm getting close to 72. Come on, Dan. Let's just say it's 72. I've stretched it so big that if this is going out for digital, okay, that would look fine. Okay, 72 dots per inch on a screen generally looks fine. If I sent this to a commercial printer though, as soon as it gets printed, it will look terrible. That's why 72 is the lowest you can go, but only if you're going out for digital. If you need to go to print, this needs to be as close to 300 as possible. Okay, so at the moment, I'm gonna undo that. Undo, 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 undo. I'm using, remember, Command Z or Control Z on a PC. Now, if I was going to be absolutely perfect and proper, I would scale this down a bit more. So I'm compressing it, so I'm jamming more little pixels into that inch. You can see I'm nearly close to that. That's the exact number, okay? Well, it's the exact number, it's not exact at all. I'm close, okay? So it's nearly 300. That is the that's the benchmark. That's like, if you want it to look great when it's printed from a commercial printer, you should be aiming for 300, but it is just an aiming. It doesn't have to be perfect. Some people will disagree with me. They say it has to be 300. Okay, but I am less fussy about it because the difference between an extra 1 PPI and not PPI, nobody on the planet's gonna know. This is my opinion though, remember? So when you're bringing in an image and you're stretching it out, it's good to you don't want to go to your boss and say, yep, like, do you like this image? Great, it's going to be good. It's going to cover the whole front cover there. Okay, there it goes. I'm going to use this on the cover. And you sell it to them, that great. And you print it, and because it's down at 180, it's not going to print very good. 300 would be beautiful. How do you get it to 300? You can't. Okay, basically it's down to the original photograph. So let's say this is Phil's image. Okay, it'll depend on how much he's cropped it, the megapixel of his camera. So its original capture is kind of how it's born, and you can't change that. You can fudge it a little bit in Photoshop, but it's out of the scope of this course. Now, if you wanted to use this as a cover and it's down at 180, you'd be like, oh, can I print it? I would. Okay, now this is definitely coming from Dan, who's done a lot of print, but is not a purist when it comes to like pre-press quality guru. And I know enough designers who would be like, oh, it's 180 be fine, and print it and be happy enough with it that I'm confident enough to share it with you. So my minimum is 180 and my highest, there's no point, well, anything above 300 doesn't matter. Okay, so 300 is the maximum that looks good in print. And how low can you go? I say 180. But you might send it to your printer and they go, hey, that's not good enough quality. Then you might do a test print, okay, just have a little look, but I'm happy at 180. Let's look at one more image just to hopefully kind of add a bit more sense to it. So I'm gonna have nothing selected, import image. You can do this with me. From your exercise file, there's one in there called low resolution example. Okay, so I'm gonna bring it in. I'm actually just gonna click once. Okay, because I know it's quite a small image. I made it small, just as an example. So I'm gonna open up my links. I closed that in between. There we go. So I've got two images. This one here, if I drag it down, is at near enough 300 that this one here, yeah, this one here, near enough 300. I'm like, yeah, fine, go to print. Okay, this one here though, if this is going out to be printed, I need 1,000 of these printed for my conference, okay? And I need this to look great. It's not gonna look great at this size. 72 dots per inch will look fine if this is gonna be, say, down here, and it's going to be in a PDF that I'm gonna email to people, or downloadable from a website. 72, remember, is perfect for screen, but in terms of print, it's way off. Remember I said kind of 180 is fine for print, okay? It needed to be, watch this, if I want to get ready for print, if I scale it down, 88's too big, too small still, that's too small. There you go. Okay, so at 300, it is tiny. It's about a third. So whenever you bring in an image and it's 72 dots per inch and you're like, I wonder if it's gonna be big enough, make it about a third the size, roughly, and that'll be like high quality, near enough 300, it's gonna print perfect. Then there's the a little bit too casual resolution Danway where it can look fine at about 180-ish. Okay, so I'd be happy printing that. It depends what it is. If you're trying to sell a Rolex or a Bentley and it's the front cover, don't fudge the images. Get it as high quality as you can. But if this is this is a supporting background image, it's got a bit of noise in the graphic anyway, I'm happy to do it at 180. So screen use is going to be up to 72, and if it's going for commercial print, it should be at 300, but you can go as low as 180. Don't tell anybody I told you that. The last thing to discuss is I'm gonna get rid of the kia, okay, or is it kakapo? I'm not sure, it's a native bird of New Zealand. It's probably a kakapo, I'm not sure. Anyway, the last thing I wanna show you is, so we've dealt with images, JPEGs in particular. Let's say I bring in a logo that's been made by somebody. If you're looking to make logos, check out the Envato Tuts Plus Illustrator course that I've done. Okay, but let's go to File. Oh no, I keep going back. That's my old way of doing things. I'm getting used to the new way. If this thing here is in your way, click on the little link and you can kind of pop it back in and out. Okay, nothing selected, import file. I'd like you to bring in the logo one white. Click open, make it a size. I'm gonna click and drag it about that size. And what you'll notice is that if I go to my links panel now and I click on logo white, there is no effective PPI. You're like, where is it? It doesn't have it. It's because it's what's called a vector file. A vector file is made by something like Adobe Illustrator, and it means it's resolution independent. It can be scaled to the size of a mountain and it will still be crisp and clear. It's kind of more math that involves making, that's why it's got a really kind of specific look, really hard edges, simple colors. So you don't need to worry about the resolution of images like this. Again, if they come through and these guys are set to typical display, they can look really bad. Let's have a little look. You can see if it looks like that, just go to View and go to Display Performance and just make sure it's high quality. I'm gonna scale mine down. How do I scale it? What's the shortcut? Do you remember? There's two keys. They're a bit weird. It's Command and Shift on a Mac, Control Shift on a PC. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of put mine up here roughly in the corner. That looks good. Zoom out, hit the W key. Still too big. There we go, that'll do. All right, that is image resolution. If you're like, man, that blew my brain, you might have to watch it a couple of times. Image resolution is a funny one. I hope this section made it a little bit clearer, but we're done with images now. Let's move on to the next section where we deal with some long text. I'll see you there. Hi there, this video is about spreads versus single pages. So far in this course, we've made, you can kind of see it there in the background, we've made a single page document, our cover. Now we wanna make some pages on the inside. Okay, so it's gonna we've got a cover, now we wanna make some pages on the inside. And because it's going to be this kind of format, as in, it's not going to be like single sheets stapled in the corner, okay, that you'd normally do at home and just kind of like, you know, dog ear them. Okay, it's actually gonna be printed like a little brochure. Okay, so they'll probably print it on A3, or I don't even know what they call a WS letter, but a big sheet, fold it in half, and that will be your document. So we've done the cover. Now we need to add some more pages. And if we added 4 more single pages, that would work, and we could send it to the printer, and that would be okay. But what we want to see is we want to see 2 pages side by side, like that. That's not a very good page. This is a good one. See this one here. There's a relationship between this page and this page. So we'd like to see the pages together in what's called a spread. Okay, so we are going to turn on spreads. We're gonna make sure we've got 4 pages because we'll have a cover, the inside spread, and the back cover. Okay, and InDesign will do something cool where it shows you your cover by itself and the back by itself, but these 2 pages together. Hopefully it makes more sense when we get in there, but that is spreads, and let's go and make them now. All right, adding pages is super easy. Make sure you're deselected. An easy way that I do it is black arrow, click in the background, nothing selected. And you should be able to see over here in your properties, you should see document. It's telling me my size, width and height. This is the one I want, how many pages? So I want 4 in total. So remember, front, 2 inside pages and a back cover, type 4, click out, and magically you've got 4 pages. You'll be like, well, where are they? Okay, there's 2 ways to look. You can just zoom out, zooming out, you'll see, look, 4 pages. What was the shortcut? You remember Command minus on a Mac, Control- on a PC. The other way, and probably the more common way, is there's a whole tab here dedicated to pages. If we click on that, you can see I've got my front cover, these pages here. To get to them, say I want to jump to the last page, I just double click the white area. You kind of see it highlights there, and you can see down the bottom here, I'm on page 4. Double click page 2. There's nothing on these pages, so it's not very exciting, but anyway, you get the idea. Double click page 1, we're on page 1. But we don't want, you might want single pages, and that's perfect for your what you need. Okay, what we want to do though is go to Properties, have nothing selected, and turn on this one called Facing Pages. This turns on what we use the word spreads often in the industry. Facing Pages is what InDesign calls it. And you can kind of see why. If we go to Pages now, you'll see these two pages face each other. Now, technically, the back should be like glued to the front, because we know if we printed them off and folded them, you know, if you open up a magazine, you can, you can see the front and the back at the same time, but they separate them off just so that we don't go mad. Okay, so the back's at the end. Page 4, there's page 2, page 3, page 1. You know how to count. You get the idea. So nice and simple. I think I'm trying to stretch this video out because it's short and all the other ones have been really long, but you can turn it off just as easily by turning off Facing Pages. But what we want to do is let's go to page 2 because we want to work across these two pages. And we're going to start putting in some long text. And we'll do that in the next section. Hi there, this video we're going to look at adding long text to a document. In our case, a brochure, could be a magazine, could be annual report. Okay, in this case, the text goes from being over here to here and it flows. Watch this, if I make this box smaller, you see it flows along there. So linking text boxes, we'll talk about how to create columns as well. But that's what we're going to be working towards in this video. All right, to get started, make sure you're on our spread here, page 2. So double click page 2 and make sure the W key is off so you can see everything. Let's bring in text. Let's go back to our properties panel and we can click import file. It depends on where you get your text. A lot of people just copy and paste. They'll draw a text box and just paste it out of an email or out of a Word doc. We've got ours sitting in a nice little file. So I'll show you this way while we're here. So I had nothing selected, import file, and we're going to use text1 body copy, click open, and the text becomes loaded. So this kind of saves time. I don't have to draw a text box and then paste it into it. What I'm gonna do is, you can see it's like the same as the image before. I can click, hold, drag out a box, draw it nice and big. Don't worry about matching the size, just get it somewhere like that. That brings in my text. Okay, now what happens with this text is, like it did earlier on in the course, that little red box, I'm always, as a designer in InDesign, I'm always keeping an eye out for that box. That's a danger box. It means I've lost some text. It means that it's overset and there's more down here. I can tell by dragging it down, there it is all there. I know that's enough for 2 pages, so I'm going to show you how to link to text boxes. So just kind of resize it so it's roughly the same size as mine, doesn't have to be perfect, something like that. Now to connect this page to this page, what you do is with your black arrow, so your selection tool, click this little red plus button, just click it once, okay, and your cursor becomes loaded. If it goes horribly wrong, hit the escape key, as you're like, I didn't know what I was doing, I'm lost. Hit escape key, delete any random text boxes you might have. You might delete everything and start again. Don't be afraid to do that when you're new, okay? But let's say I click it once, I've got this thing. What I can do is move across here a little bit, okay, and click and drag out another box. Cool, huh? And those 2 boxes are linked. So go back to this first box and shrink it down. So I clicked it once, grab the bottom one, drag it up. You can see it spills over into this other box and they're always connected. And you can keep connecting. If I click on this, I've made it small enough so that this box has become overset. Remember the red plus. Click it once again and I can either make another column, okay, or I can undo that and I can just move down to the next page and paste it down here. So all 3 boxes are linked. If I adjust this box, I'll just do it here. Can you see it spills over to that one? All right, I'm going to undo, back. A couple of things you'll have questions about is that if I delete this box, what happens to the text? If I hit delete just on my keyboard, it actually just flows back into here. It doesn't actually delete. Same thing if I delete this first box, look what happens. So it starts with New Zealand. You can see it just pushes over to the next box. So unless you delete all of the boxes, okay, it should all hang around. So I'm going to undo because I kind of want to start with this. So if I want 2 columns, because my example here, right, has, where is it? This is where we're going to end up, okay, is we're going to have a first box of text, okay, and then we're going to have these 2. And I could draw one box, link it like we have, and then link a second box. I'm going to show you, especially if you're doing a long document. So like an annual report might have like 50 pages or 100 pages or some sort of documentation. Okay, you don't want to be drawing 2 text boxes. You just want to split this one in half. And I want to show you both of these. So what we're going to do is this fella here, I'm going to make sure it is lined up here. I'm not too worried about the height, but I want it lined up the edge of this, okay, our margin, and I want this side to line up at the other side of the margin. So it's full width. And what you can do is black arrow with it selected. You'll notice over here, there's options for the text frame. You can see it's just 1 column, click on that, it becomes 2 columns. Cool, huh? This next one here, you can adjust the space between, it's called the gutter. You can just, it's the space opening up in between this. So you might have a document that actually is just this. You're linking the 2 pages together, okay? So you link this page to the next page to the next page. You're really long text heavy document. Columns is just a handy little trick rather than linking 2 separate text boxes. I'm gonna undo because that's kind of where I want. All right, before we go, I'm just gonna kind of make it look a little bit nicer. So what I want is, you can skip now, we're not doing any more linking text boxes. We're just gonna get it a little bit closer to this design here. So I want this kind of big rectangle here on the left, okay? And it is exactly 1/3 of the document. So we're gonna use our handy math tricks. So I'm gonna grab the rectangle tool, I'm gonna zoom out, and I'm gonna draw this fella. I'm gonna get the height so it goes all the way into the bleeds. I don't mind which color it is, even though I'm gonna pick a color, just cause, but it's gonna be an image later on. Okay, what I want to do is make sure it's exactly 1/3. How do I do that? Is I go through and I make it this width, and then I go into width, and I go divide by 3. Hit return, and that is 1/3, plus a little bit of bleed. Great math, Dan. There you go. Got my third. This fella here is going to be the same height, but just a little bit wider. I'm going to try and use the same sort of margin size this side. Hit W. How's it looking? Now, remember our command 0, okay, does the full page. I like to see full spread. So it's a bit of a hard shortcut. I use it all the time. In this case, it's command option 0, okay. If you're on a PC, it's control option 0, okay, just to get the whole spread in the middle. Don't worry too much about, we've got this kind of missing chunk over here. We're going to adjust the font size in a little bit, and it will end up filling up this gap. Or if you don't even have one, you might just shrink these guys down. You'll notice I can shrink them down. You see those cool smart guides, that line, see the green things over there? I can't really point to it, but you can see there they line up nicely along the top. All right, that's enough for this video. Let's jump into the next one where we start looking at something called paragraph styles. Super helpful for longer text. I'll see you there. Hey there, this video is about working with paragraph styles. Paragraph style means you can connect a couple of bits of text together in terms of its style, its font, its color. And the cool thing about it is later on you can go, once you've made this connection, especially good for a longer document, you've got headings all through it, you can go through, actually let's just change the font. You'll see that all the connected paragraph style headings all go and update. Great for body copy, perfect for long documents. Let's work out how to make a paragraph style now. All right, to get started with a paragraph style, let's create our little heading over here. So we're gonna grab the type tool, draw a nice big box because it's gonna be a big heading, and we're gonna type in so much to do, ... Okay, and let's highlight it all, and let's go over here and pick a font. Now we're gonna use the font that we downloaded earlier on for the cover. Can't even remember what it was called, D. That's it, D. And I'm going to use the D. bold. I'm going to make it be the green. Okay, nothing new here. Little tip is you can go through and pick these, drop down. You can type them in. What I tend to do is, say it starts at 12. If I want to go up in lots of measurements, I hold down the Shift key and click the up arrow. Instead of going up 1, I hold the Shift key down and it goes up in like 10s. Because that's where I want to go, somewhere about that. I want to play around with the line spacing as well. Okay, or called leading in InDesign, and I'm happy enough with that. Okay, black arrow, move it around. I'm going to shrink this bottom bit up a little bit. That's kind of what I want to do. So The cool thing about this is that I want to use it again and again and again. Let's say that I'm working with this client, visit New Zealand loads. I don't want to have to like type that out and type it in, put the colors in. So I get to use a style. So to make a style, all you got to do is highlight your text. So go to your type tool and drag a box around it. You might have just noticed what I did there is I never go to the type tool because I'm lazy, and InDesign's helpful. Okay, so the black arrow, if you double click it, you end up as the type tool. Okay, so black arrow, you can see it change over here with a T, double click it, and then I can just keep clicking. It's like 1, 2 gets the word, 1, 2, 3 gets the line, 1, 2, 3, 4 gets the whole paragraph, gets everything. So watch this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that helpful, Dan? I don't know, I do it, so maybe it is. So either way, how you do it, have this whole thing selected, every last little bit of it. And let's go to Window, and let's open up Styles, and let's open up Paragraph Styles. Okay, this little panel appears. I'm gonna, so you drag the top little dark strip of it to move it around. I'm gonna put mine there. Cool, you get given a basic paragraph to start with. What I'd like to do is create my own one. So I'm gonna create new style. It's this like turned up page, the second icon from the right. Click on that, and we're given this one called Paragraph Style 1. Double click it. Okay, opens it up and tells you a few things. It tells you that it is bold, D dot is the font color. You can see lots of things. It's the VNZ green, all cool stuff. And it's just gonna save it so we can reuse it. There's a couple of little things though. So what you wanna just double check is that it's not based on anything. So whenever you're, especially when you're new, make sure it's always based on no paragraph style. That can catch you out later on when you're new. Once you get more advanced, you can start stacking styles on top of each other, but I find for new people, it's just too hard. So we're gonna give it a name. I'm gonna call it VNZ body heading. Always give it the client name at the beginning as well, because you know, I end up with loads of different heading styles and I need to know which one they are because they can actually jump from one document to the other if you copy and paste the text. So that makes it nice and clear what client it's for. And that's it. Let's click OK. Give it a name. Make sure it's not based on anything. Click OK. What do we do now? Is we go back to my black arrow, click off in the background to deselect, come down here. Okay, so I'm on my last page, page 4. You can kind of tell down here, I'm on page 4. You could go to your pages panel, double click 4, so you know you're in the right spot. I'm gonna turn the preview mode off. So remember W key. And what I wanna do, type tool, draw out a random box and type in so little time, ... I'm totally abusing the, I don't think there needs to be a ... Anyway, you get the idea. I'll even capitalize it. So we've got our text and we don't want to have to go through our properties panel and do all these things. Imagine if we just click this button. Gasp horror. So that is the power of a paragraph style. Do it once, highlight it, make it, and then you get to reuse it. It gets even better, right? So I'm going to click off. So I've got nothing selected, nothing at all. And let's say that up here, we're like, actually, I like it, but I want it to be the red, nuclear red color that we've got. So with nothing selected, just double click VNZ. Okay, and go into basic character formats. So that's where most of the business is done. They're actually quite powerful. There's lots in there. You can see I can change the font and the boldness and the size. Actually, what I want is character color down the bottom here. And you can see I'm going to change it from VNZ red, green to red. And click OK. The cool thing about it is that changes and that changes. And that's really handy when it's not so much of a big deal when we're dealing with just a 4-page brochure, but you can imagine a longer document, it's super helpful. So let's do one more together. If you're like, I kind of got it. Let's do it again with the body copy. So I'm going to select all the body copy. You can grab the long way, type tool, click in there once, go to edit, select all, where is it, select all, and that grabs all the text. Or the weird Dan way, black arrow, keep clicking until you grab it all. Okay, with it all selected, let's pick our body copy font. Remember we downloaded, it was called Roboto, that was it. So I'm gonna delete that and just type in Roboto. And I'm gonna start with, I'm gonna use Roboto regular, medium, I'll use medium. Okay, in terms of font size for a body copy, 12 point is like the default for things like Word, but it is, and InDesign, but it's quite big. If you pick up any magazine, but if you go to the magazine shop and you check all the body copy text, it's more likely to be 10. Okay, it's just That's a real common body copy size. 9.5 is common as well. 11, 12 gets quite big. If I was you, if you like 12 on the screen, print it off physically so you can see it. You'd be like, ooh, that's a bit big, or it might be perfect. We're going to run with 12 point because we're going to say that that's the client's default font size, and we've got lots of kind of space to work with. So let's go 12 point. And what I'd like to do now is, it's all perfect. So Roboto, 12 point, love it. And let's make a paragraph style. So it's all selected. Hit this little turned up page here. It's called paragraph style 1, double click it. Now, what are we going to check? Make sure it's not based on anything. So no paragraph style. Give it a name, VNZ body copy, click OK. And hopefully now it's ready to go. Okay, so I can click off, black arrow, click in the background, come down here. I've got some more text to bring in. So I'm going to make this a little smaller so there's a bit of room. Now we're going to bring in our file. So nothing selected, import file, go to text to back, click open, drag out a box. Whoa, it's remembered my last heading. That's okay. We need to select all the text. So select it all and go to VTNZ body copy. I didn't select it all. Keep selecting until you go VNZ body copy. I leave the problems I have in there just so that you're like, just in case you do it, we can fix it together. Cool, huh? And again, remember our perk is that, let's say later on, we want to adjust, say the spacing between it. We can have nothing selected, go into body copy, and then go into basic character formats and increase the leading. What you might do is just move this over, turn on preview so that you can kind of see it. And watch this, I can start increasing the leading. I want mine to be, yeah, that's what I want. And I don't like the medium. I like regular, just a little bit lighter. And can I deal with the font size that is? Yes, it's fine. Okay, let's click OK. All right, so paragraph styles, you'll notice that it's adjusted this one, but it's also adjusted this page. Okay, so it can control a nice big long document. And one thing I might do is, though, this is overset. I'm going to leave it for the moment because I want to show you when this document gets exported. InDesign's clever and warns you, but what you probably might want to do now is kind of start raising this up so that there's enough room for all of this to go in. Okay, fits in there. I'm going to leave it because I want to show you what happens if you forget or miss it. All right, that is it for this video for paragraph styles. Let's get into the next video where we learn some tips and tricks and clean up our design a little bit. See you in a sec. Hi everyone, welcome to the tips and tricks video. It's a mixture of tips and tricks and mainly just filling out this course because we got to this stage where we've got lots of empty parts and we've learned lots of the tools we need to use in InDesign. But I guess I just wanted to, I'm gonna show you some tips and tricks, but then we're actually just gonna move through and add images and just to make this thing a little bit prettier to export. Okay, so let's dive in, some tips and tricks, plus just some doing things to make it look nice. All right, first trick is I can import an image, and because I want to do this image here, right? See it there, the fern? Okay, I could do that, bring it in the way we've been importing file and dragging it out and resizing it. I'll show you the trick that I do. I use my Finder, so on a Mac, there it is there, Finder. PCs have Windows, okay, and I'm just gonna move it. And there's my exercise files. I'm gonna grab image 3 and just drag it into it. And you can kind of just drag it straight in. It's kind of cool, huh? Another cool trick is you'll notice if I click the content grabber, it's actually, if I zoom out, it's actually quite a big image, okay, because it comes in at full size. A nice little trick is click off in the background, click back on this guy, and there's these frame fitting, okay? So it just says fit frame proportionately, and it just scales itself down so that it fits inside of the frame. There's a couple other options, but that first one's gonna be your best friend. Okay, and I know that there's a bit of width on there, so I can kind of adjust it how I want. Up to you. Here we go. That looks good. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to close down the paragraph styles, a little cross in the corner. I'm going to grab the line tool. You don't really need to know how it works, but we're going to do it here today. I'm going to turn my preview back on because I want to get it from here all the way across to this side bit here. And it does its very best to try and be straight. It's pretty clever that way. If it doesn't though, you can hold the shift key down and you can see the shift key won't let it bend at all. So do that again. Click, hold, drag, hold, shift, watch, just snaps it as a straight line. I'm gonna get it to go all the way along there. I'm gonna give it, it doesn't really matter if it has fill, okay? I'm gonna turn the fill off, just for OCD reasons, okay? But the stroke, click on this. I'm gonna pick the VNZ red, and I'm gonna increase the stroke weight. So I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, get a sense for it, hit the black arrow, click off in the background, W key. You can kind of see that's roughly what I wanna do. Another little trick I want to show you is I want to bring in a little icon. It's a little version of that kiwi that I made for the logo. It's a little fictional company. If you do want to go visit New Zealand, go to newzealand.com. Brilliant website for all that sort of stuff, but I made a little own brand for this course. So the little kiwi, I can go to import file and that is fine, but I'll show you a cool little trick is if you bring in vector graphics, say something made in Adobe Illustrator. We looked at it earlier with this thing here, okay? But I want to recolor it, okay? So say it's an icon like this particular one. You can just open it up in Illustrator. You don't need much Illustrator skills. So in my Finder, and where is it? Exercise files, I double-clicked logo 2, this AI file, and it opened up in Illustrator. There he is. Now, instead of doing it the official way and copying and pasting him, I'm just going to use my black arrow, select him, go to Edit Copy, or you can use your shortcut. Jump into InDesign. If you are wondering how I'm jumping between these programs, because you're like, ooh, how did they come up? It is on a Mac, Command and the Tab key. It just kind of allows you to, hold the Command key down, hit Tab, and it allows you to pick which program you want to jump to. On a PC, it's Control Tab, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so I'm in InDesign. I'm going to go to Edit Paste. And the difference here is that it's not linked to that original file, which is no big drama. But the real big perk is I can over here with my fill, go, I want you to be the VNZ, red color. Cool, huh? This means you can color. It doesn't work with images, okay, but it works with these vector graphics done in something like Illustrator. Icons, logos, perfect. Work the same if I wanted to recolor this logo. Okay, if I wanted it to be, I can't do it now. I can't fill it. Okay, if I try and fill it with a color, it just fills the background. But if I copied and pasted it from Illustrator, I can totally color it. All right, this fella here, I want to go in Object, Transform. I want to flip horizontal down. That's it. All right. Next thing I want to do is I want to bring in our quote text. So let's go to Import File. Let's go to Text 3 Quote and drag a nice big box. One of the weird things you'll notice is that it's probably not doing it for you. Okay, but it's going to happen to you eventually. So it's whenever I drag out a box, it's applying this style. Remember our VNZ heading. So to get rid of that, I'm going to undo. Okay, so I've got nothing ready to go. Before I get and start importing text, I go to Window, I go to Styles, I go to Paragraph Styles, and you can kind of see why. See, it's selected as VNZ heading. It's blue. It means that every new box that I create is going to be that. So what I might do, just to make things life easier, you could pick basic paragraph or VNZ body copy. Either one works for me, and close it down. This means whenever I import text now, it's going to be that style, not the giant one. Text 3 quote, drag it out, a bit more usable. I'm going to align it so it's aligning to this right-hand margin. I'm going to turn my preview key back off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick, what are we using? D dot, I'm going to use D dot italic. I'm not. I'm just going to use the D dot bold. I'm going to use the fill color. Okay, remember, unless I have it selected, it's not going to do exactly what I want when I fill it. Who remembers how I do that? How I like make sure the text colors are not the background. You're like, click that one. Yes, that one. Okay, apply to text. Scroll down. I'll use the green. Now, a little shortcut here is font sizings. We looked at it a little bit earlier on. I use this one quite often. I select all the text I want to change the size of. I look down at my keyboard. I hold the Command Shift key and hit the greater than key, or the period or the full stop, depending on where you are in the world. Okay, it gets bigger and bigger. And the comma or the less than, it's next to M down the bottom of your keyboard on most keyboards. Okay, it's just if you hold down, so Command Shift on a Mac, Control Shift on a PC and hit period or comma. Okay, it should get bigger and smaller. Okay, and how big do I want mine? Yeah, about that. I'm not going to look at the regular version, and I'm going to adjust the, if you're not too sure how high the line spacing should be, go to Auto, and InDesign will give you a good kind of starting point at least. You can change it from here, but I'm happy with it. Also, I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of you guys, go right aligned. I'm going to make sure you are Roboto. It's a nice little balance of fonts where there's some that is this big kind of display font, which is our D dot, and some which is not. And I want this to be bigger again, so I'm going to select all. Of you and use my shortcut. I want it to kind of break onto 3 lines-ish. All right, this needs to go down a little bit. So I'm going to select on this and I'm going to increase the line spacing. All right, it's looking kind of how I want it. Maybe bring this up. I always find that I've got to kind of lean back in my chair, hit the W key, lean back in my chair, have nothing selected, and then start looking at it like this. I got my eyes half squinted, kind of like, yeah, looks all right. And what you need to do as well is don't be afraid to print things off, even if it's going out digitally. Often it's seeing them in a different format can really go like, oh, wow, that's big, or that doesn't look quite right. I'm happy enough with it. You can totally skip on now. I'm going to do the last page just because I want it to look nice. You can follow along with me if you like. But yeah, you can skip on. No new tips or tricks at the moment, just a bit of design-ness getting done. All right, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to grab you because I know it's already a third. I've copied it and pasted it using my shortcut. And I'm going to hit W key. I'm going to work a little faster now. So if you find like you can't keep up, I'm just trying to, I guess, give you a sense of the flow that tends to happen when I'm working. Who's the bird? He's number 5. Just going to drag him in. Oh, this little bird. Resize it. I like the way it sits in there. I'm going to make sure these both hit the margin on this side. I want to suck this up at the bottom, hold shift to click both of them, and then move it to a size. What I might do is actually this thing in here, I'm going to cut it so it's in its own text document. Because what I want to do is grab the rectangle tool, draw a rectangle all the way along. Actually, let's use that full margin down the bottom here, see what it looks like. Right click it, arrange, center back, make sure the fill is nuclear red. I'm going to grab the type tool. Ooh, last little tip for the people that hung around. Okay, I never click on the type tool. If I want to get to the type tool, I just click the T key on my keyboard. This is kind of out of the scope of getting into too many shortcuts, but watch this. If I hover above any of these tools, can you see in brackets, there's the A in this one. This one has V in the brackets. This one, the type tool has T. So it's literally, you can see I'm on the selection tool. If I type T on my keyboard, hey, it goes to T. A goes to my direct selection tool. V is my black arrow. So when I say go back to the black arrow, you'll get used to hitting V on your keyboard. And then back to T for the type tool. I'm going to click. Try not to drag a box over this because I'll show you why. If I click on this, it's going to fuse my text to this box. It's a pain. He's kind of stuck to it. Often you want it to be separate. So I'm going to grab my T key, I'm going to draw it over here, paste in my text, okay, and then move it in using my black arrow. Okay, and what I might do is line it up there, line it up there. Why didn't it snap? There we go. Okay, and I'm going to do centered. I'm going to do fill, frame, text, paper. I'm going to make it Roboto bold. I'm going to make the font size a little bigger, and I'm going to lower it down. Beautiful. Last thing I'm going to do is bring in my logo. Okay, again, you could use the proper file import, but I'm just going to bring in logo black. If you can't make this work because maybe your machine doesn't let you kind of like click and drag, or you're finding it a bit tough, just use the have nothing selected and file import. You end up at the same place. Now, resizing, remember, what are the 2 keys I hold down? Because if I don't, the frame just moves. I've got to hold down the Command key and the Shift key. Or if you're on a PC, the Control and Shift key. I'm just going to scale it down, W key on, lean back in my chair, give it the head bob, side to side look. You'd be like, what are you not? That's a big, whoop. Okay, and I'm going to go like that. Nice enough. All right, I thought that was it. There was one last little thing I wanted to do to the cover. Let's resize this. I'm going to use this to put some text inside. I'll move it over here for the moment. I want this image. I like it as a full kind of background cover. So I've just grabbed the frame and dragged it out. I'm going to hit the fit frame proportionately button. Okay, and then try and grab the content grabber. It's a little bit hard because that text is in the way. You might have to move that text box if you're finding it hard to grab. Cool. And this fella here is going to host my text. He's just going to be a nice box there. I'm going to bring in the text. We could use the file import. I'm going to use my cheap way. So text for cover. Drag it out. I'm going to select it all. You're going to be white or paper. You're going to be 16. Leading's going to be about there. That works for me. Black arrow. There we go. You'll notice that I didn't go to the black arrow as in like I said, you should always use the V key to get to it. It doesn't work when you have text selected. What's going to happen if I hit the V key now to get to my selection tool? V key. You got it. Okay, there is a way around it. You can get to it another way, hitting the escape key. Gets you to the V key. That's why if you hold this down or hover above it, you see V or escape. That's the reason why they gave it the escape key as well. All right, that's looking fine for me. That is actually it this time. W key, look back, stretch. Yeah, it looks all right. Okay, we're gonna go and export now. So before I export, I'd actually print this off and check it to make sure it looks okay in physical form. But you get that idea. Let's move on to the next video where we look at exporting this document. Hi there, this video is all about exporting our document. We've finished it, we love it. Now we're gonna get it out for two methods. We're gonna send it out as a JPEG, and I'll show you how to make these JPEGs. They're all just kind of like separate, nice little JPEGs. And then I'll show you how to get ready as a PDF. Okay, this PDF is ready for the printer. It's easy to make. It's got crop marks in the corners. It's ready to go. We've done spreads. It's nice and easy to do. So let's jump in now and work out how. All right, so the first thing we'll do when we're exporting is exporting a simple JPEG. Okay, so let's say we just want to send these over to somebody via email as a JPEG, or maybe you're designing, not a brochure, but you're designing like an advert or something, a banner for your website or social media. Okay, you need a JPEG. So let's go to File. Let's go to Export. Where is he? I can't find him. There he is. Okay, File, Export. And down the bottom here, probably going to default to PDF. Okay, so Adobe PDF print. Okay, so click it and find JPEG. Give it a name along the top here. I'm going to click Save. And now our options are kind of traditional. The top here, do you want all the pages or just a specific page? Pages or spreads? Okay, pages means it's going to export page 1, 2, 3, 4 as separate. So you'll end up with 4 JPEGs. Spreads is going to combine the inside spread for you. We'll leave spreads on for the moment. In terms of the quality, you can mess around with maximum, high, medium. It will basically determine the quality of it, of course, but also the file size. So if you have it at maximum and the file size is way too big for what you need it for, you might have to just experiment with high and medium until you find something that's right for you. Resolution, don't worry about format method, way too hardcore. Resolution, you can worry about this. Okay, remember we talked about that is just good enough for screen, but if you want it to go to print, it needs to be really up at 300. 144 is a nice little medium ground. I'm going to email this to somebody. It's not going to be too big in terms of file size, but it's going to look quite good. And in terms of the color space, because we're going via email, it's just going to go via digital means. We're going to use RGB. If I was sending this to a printer, I'd go 300 and I'd go CMYK. But if I was sending this to a printer, I'd actually probably not use a JPEG. We'll use the PDF, which we'll do in the next section. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my 150-ish JPEG. Don't worry about any of this at the moment. It's pretty hardcore. You can dive into it if you need to. But for the moment, let's click Export. And hopefully on my desktop, let's go check it. So on my desktop, I've got that file we created called InDesign tutorial. And there is my JPEGs. So I've got 1, 2, and 3. It's kind of made it weird in terms of the names. I called it V1. And so the first page, here it is here. Perfect. My second page is called V12, V13. You kind of get the idea, right? So page 1, page 2, okay, which is the spread, because we remember we switched it to spreads. And then there's this last page here. I might go through now and just call this one page 1, just to make it a little bit clearer if I was sending it to someone. Page 2-3, and this one's going to be P3. All right, 3 JPEGs. The file sizes are not too big. If you needed them to be smaller, mess around with the quality and the resolution, and that's how you get JPEGs. Let's look at doing a PDF next. Okay, so it's time to send this to a printer. You've got a quote from him or her, and she said it's going to be, you need 10,000 of these things printed, and they've given you a price. You're like, great, send us the artwork. Okay, so we go File, we go to Export, and we switch it from JPEG to PDF. PDF will give you a way better quality in terms of its finish than a JPEG, okay? Retains all lovely vector goodness. PDFs are great. Cool. I'm going to leave the same name. I'm going to hit save. And in here, this is dropped down at the top. Okay. The best one to go for, I'm not going to run through all the options here. If I go to high quality print, okay, that's going to be ready for the printer. There's only a couple of other things will change. There's lots of settings in here. Don't get too daunted. Just stick it at high quality print, hit export, and you will be fine. There's a couple of little things I want to show you. The other option you might use in here is smallest file size. It's going to give you a PDF, which is perfectly emailable. It might be what you want for people to download from your website, but it's going to keep the file size nice and small. And basically it starts messing around with the resolution and makes a really small file size, not perfect for print, but perfect for emailing and downloading from a website. I want high quality print. That's what I want. I'm going to leave all of this. The only thing I might do is under marks and bleeds. When I've talked to the printer, we wanted that we've added bleed to the edges. So what we're going to say is, I want to turn on, you don't want bleed marks. That's a bit confusing. Okay. Crop marks is what you want. Okay. That'll be what the printer requires, and everything else, there's really nothing that is actually given to the printer. These are all, they look cool. Okay. But it's not what a printer needs. Okay, crop marks is what we need, and we're going to turn on the document bleed, okay, which in our case is 1/8 of an inch. Yours might be 3 millimeters, but those are the only 2 other things we're going to do. If you've decided you're doing an advert for a magazine and they don't require bleed, okay, you can just you just go to high quality print and leave it. You'll see it's modified here. It's because we turned these 2 on. Let's export it and have a look at the final result. Ooh, remember this? I did this earlier on page 3, I left the text overset. Overset text means there's a text box and there is too much text in that text box and we can't see it. Remember the little red plus? And that's a little warning. So this is super handy. You're like, whew, phew. Okay, I added there on purpose. So I'd hit cancel now and go and adjust that box. I'm going to leave it. I wanted to show you the warning. Kick back, relax. Now on my particular computer, it opens up the PDF once it's finished. So it's open it up in Acrobat. Yours might not. If it doesn't, you need to jump to your desktop, find the PDF they got made. There it is. Okay, so it's under desktop, under the InDesign tutorials. That's the PDF. Double click it and open it. If it's not opening and your computer's like, I don't even know what this file is, you might have to download the free Acrobat Reader program. Okay, but here it is here. So things I want to show you, I'm going to zoom out, is these are the crop marks. Okay, I'm going to zoom in again. All a crop mark is we know that, so if we cut it from this line all the way down, joining the other line, this bit's going to end up in the bin, but it means it's going to have a nice clean edge. So it's showing you the bleed and it gives it to the printer. And if they follow these guillotine lines, they'll be able to cut it down. It'll be perfectly US letter once it's all trimmed up, and they'll print it on a slightly bigger bit of paper so that they can trim the stuff off when they're finished. Okay, I'm going to zoom out. I'll go to the next spread. Ooh, I didn't turn spreads on. So I'd want to turn spreads on sending this to the printer. Ask them. They might not want spreads on. They might. Depends on how they paginate the document. But let's say I do. I'm going to close this down, jump back in here, file, export. Yes, replace. And over here, I'm going to switch it to spreads. Some printers I deal with don't want spreads. They'll deal with that. Some of them do. Just going to export over the top. I should fix that overset text, but here we go. Page 2 is the spread. 2 pages together, and this now, see how big it is ready to go to the printer. So it's 1.8 megabytes. It's crazy small how small it gets, okay, once it's been turned into a PDF. And that, my friends, is how you export a print-ready PDF. You shouldn't have any problems with it. And if you do, reach out to your printer, and if they say, if they kind of bring up some confusing things and bits and pieces about color profiles and all sorts of other things that they might be specific to their process, just say, look, I'm new to this. I'd love your help. Can you help me? And make the necessary changes to the PDF, send it out to them. And if this is your first job and you are printing 10,000 of them, make sure you get a proof first. So get a proof. It'll cost you a little bit of money, might cost you $50 or $100, but you'll get a proof back from the printer. It'll take a little longer, but at least you'll have a copy in front of you and go, whew, that looks okay. Or it comes back and it's horrible. You'll be like, oh, what do I need to do to fix this? All right, my friends, that is exporting documents from InDesign. Let's get into the next video where we look at sharing our files. Hi everyone, this video is all about packaging and sending your working documents. What do I mean by that? It means I've got this InDesign file and I need to send it to someone. Okay, not as a PDF or as a JPEG. I need to actually send them the InDesign file, all the images that I've used, any links, all the working documents. And you might be sending it to them because they are a colleague and you need to give them all the files. They might be a client and they requested all the files. It might be that you're working on one computer and you need to start working on a different computer. You can package them all up. Okay, get a folder. Inside of this folder, we have all the things we need to make this document work. And we can zip them up and then just email them to someone or share it via some sort of file sharing service like Dropbox. The other thing we'll look at is you'll end up back saving it as well. So you'll end up with this IDML file. That means you can send it to people that are using an older version of InDesign. That's a handy little byproduct of this lesson. All right, let's jump in and work it all out. Okay, so to package this all up, we need to go to File. Make sure it's saved first. So File, Save. Okay, if it's grayed out, okay, it just means you've already saved. Okay, it means that you're done. You don't have to click it again. So we're going to go to File and go to this one called Package. There it is there. Okay, click on Package and we're going to click on Package. And this is going to open. It's going to say, where would you like to put this folder? Because it's going to gather all of our documents up and all of our images, all the fonts that we've used and put them into one folder. And it's just used the name of our brochure and added the word folder to it. That works for me. These are all on by default. Let's click Package and let's see what we end up with. Before we do that, we get this. It just says, be careful when you're sharing fonts. It's this gray area of like, I've bought a font or I've licensed it using my Creative Cloud, using Adobe Fonts. Okay, and so you're kind of paying for those fonts through your license. And it's just saying, if you share fonts with other people, then you're not meant to. So please don't do that. So we say, yes, sir, we definitely won't. We'll click OK. Our warning's back again. Okay, I should go and fix it. I'm not going to because I like to show you all the warnings and I'm lazy. Okay, so what's happened? Nothing. Well, something has. Let's check our desktop. So Finder, on my desktop, my InDesign tutorials, there's this folder. He's new. Inside of there is a couple of things. Okay, one is there's a PDF. It made a PDF on the way through, which is super helpful. Because if I zip this all up now and stick it on a Dropbox or archive it somehow, it means instead of having to open up the InDesign file, I can just check the PDF and just see what's in it. Okay, so that's handy. This is the most important file. This is the INDD. This is your InDesign file. This is the one that we've created and we've worked on. This one here is interesting, the IDML. What this is for people with older versions of InDesign. So we're using CC 2019 now. If you're sending this to somebody who's using CC 2017 or CS6, they won't be able to open this up-to-date InDesign file. But don't worry, they can try and open up this file. And 99.9% of it will work unless you've done something that only can be used in the latest version. So if you send it to somebody and they're like, I can't open it, it's like, try opening up the IDML file and they should be able to open that. Cool, so that's the most important one, okay? Links are, we looked at the links panel earlier, so it's gonna show me all my images that I used and the logos that were used in this document. Okay, really handy just to get all your files in one place, even if you don't use it for anything else. Packaging can be, if you're connected to lots of network drives and you're like, I don't even know what those logos are. Okay, they're on your machine somewhere. It means you can just package it all up and the links get yanked out. These are all copies of the originals. Your computer's gonna have two image to fill both the, okay? So these are all copies and the document fonts. Okay, there's the DDoc that I've used, and there's the font list. Okay, now it hasn't actually listed out the fonts. Adobe are pretty protective of their fonts. So if you've got nothing in this list, it means that you've used all, you notice Roboto's not in there. What it's assuming is you're going to send this to another InDesign person, okay, and they're also going to have a Creative Cloud license. It's going to open up the document and say, hey, you don't have Roboto, and InDesign will be clever and say, would you like me to download it for you? So Adobe don't like sharing their fonts because they're a paid resource people have made. You're not meant to just share them around. And that's how Adobe get around it, okay? They link to the fonts, but they don't actually share them between people. If you're using fonts from your machine, it will be listed here. If we used Arial, it'll be listed here as a font that you can send to someone. But if the person you're sending it to doesn't have the font, okay, and you've used it in Adobe font, they'll be warned when they open it to say the missing fonts and that they can either go and buy them, or if they're accessible through the Adobe Fonts library, it'll do that automatically. Cool, so fonts, links. Let's talk about this file a little bit more. It is a copy of my original, okay? So this version that I've got open in the background here of InDesign is not this copy, okay? We've got that here. So that's the one we were working on. Okay, I'm gonna make it green just so you can see it. Oh, there's a green dot at least. Okay, that's the one that I'm working on. I packaged it and it made a completely new version in this folder. You'll see him there. So this can be a little confusing later on. You've got two versions of it, because if I make adjustments to this, there's this version kicking around that doesn't have the adjustments. So I guess you just got to be really careful that you're not working on both together. Okay, this guy here is meant to be maybe right-clicked and gone to compress. Okay, this is on my Mac. I right-click it and say compress, and I get a nice little zip file that I can email to someone. If you're on a PC, I think you right-click files and you go to, there's one called send to, and it'll say zipped file or compressed file. You end up with a little zip file. It's just kind of like that folder all banged in together to make it easy and shareable. So that is packaging your document. File, package, leave all the defaults. You're given this folder, and then you can zip it up and email it or archive it for yourself onto something like Google Drive or Amazon Cloud Drive, Dropbox. There's lots of different files. All right, my friends, one thing before we go, I'll just acknowledge this guy. You'll be like, what is that? That looks like a virus or something. It is just a little temporary file. Don't delete him. He's only ever there when this document is open. If I save this and close it, file, close, watch what happens. If I go back into that same folder, it's gone. If I open it back up again by clicking on the recent images, it comes back. So this is kind of like just hangs around when this document is open. Don't delete him, don't worry about him. He just helps out if your computer crashes. It means it can kind of recover where it was up to. All right, that is definitely it for packaging your document. Hey there, this video is all about what happens when somebody sends me a file. Okay, they've sent me an InDesign file and I open it and there's lots of warnings. There's missing fonts, there is missing links, all sorts of stuff has gone wrong. What do I do? That is the topic of this section. Let's jump in. All right, so I've got nothing open at the moment, okay, and somebody has sent us a file. They've said, here you go, you can use this file. Or let's say that you've joined a new company and there's a bunch of InDesign files lying around, okay, and you're gonna open them and you're gonna run into some issues. So let's work out that. Let's go to File, Open, okay, and somebody has sent us in our exercise files, there's an existing files folder, and this one here. So we've been sent Interior Design Bifold Brochure. Okay, we're gonna open it up, and it's going to have a couple of issues. Okay, the first is it's missing the links. Just says I'm missing 2 of the images. There's only 2 images, so it's missing them all. Let's click OK. And it's also going to say I'm missing some of the fonts. Let's deal with the fonts first. Now, if you are lucky, okay, which most of the time you're not, it means that it's going to say, hey, you don't have the font, but we've found them on Adobe Fonts. Would you like to just activate them? So if you click Activate and both of these things can be ticked, okay, you just click Activate and the fonts will download and you will be fine. Okay, it's going to work for one of these. Let's click Activate. And it's just going to download, and you'll notice that this will change in a second once it downloads. Should be this one as well. Give it a second. I'll fast forward it. You can see it's appeared up here. It's been activated. Still thinking about it. Oh, there we go. Can you see they've all updated? But the regular version of the same font isn't accessible on Adobe Fonts, which is a pain. And this is going to happen to you a lot. So how to get around this? you've got two ways of going. It's going back to the source. Say a colleague of mine sent me this. I'll say, hey, can you send me the font that you were using? And hopefully they can send it to me. I have the license to be able to use it. Okay, so you might have to go pay for this. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. The other way is actually just replacing it with another font. So what I might do is actually, I'm going to click on Find Fonts. Okay, if you click Close and it's still not working, okay, you can go back to that exact same thing by going to Type and going to Find Font. It doesn't matter whether you clicked it in the last window or you've closed it and come back in here. You both end up at this little window, Find Font. You can see here it says, all right, you can tell which one's not, that one's missing because it's got the big caution sign. So we can't find it, we haven't bought it, we just want to switch it out for another font. So I'm going to click on this one, and you can see here it's going to replace it with something, and I can pick. I can go through here and say I want to replace you with Museo. Okay, and if I click Change All, it's going to go through and replace this font with Museo. I might replace it with Roboto because we've used it before. I'm going to use Roboto Regular, perfect. And I'm going to go Change All. Keep an eye in the background here. Change All and watch what happens. Done. And it looks very similar to what it was, but it's no longer a missing font. So phase one, go find the font, either buy it or get it from the original designer, or go and switch it out. Now you might find before you actually found the font, it was actually pink. Okay, it might have been pink and highlighted. That's a visual cue. Okay, you have to be in W, so preview mode, to see the pink. And if you see that anywhere, it just means you're missing a font. And you go to Type, and you go to Find Font. You find the one that's broken. You click on it and replace with down the bottom here. All right, so that's the fonts fixed up. Let's look at the images. So W key with it on, you don't see some of these warnings. You can see this question mark at the top here. There's another one there. It disappears when the W key's on. Okay, so we need to go through and find, they look like they're there, but they're not. We got a warning at the beginning saying links are missing. To see our links, we can either go to our little link icon here, which might be still on from the course. If you can't find it, go to Window and open up Links. It'll pop out. Here you can see they both have little question marks saying missing fonts. So we're going to relink them. Okay, it happens quite a bit when people are sharing files. Okay, they'll send you files and they'll send you the image separately, and you just need to connect them back up. If you don't have the images, okay, say somebody just sent you the InDesign file, they just sent you this thing, but no images, you're going to have to go back to them. Okay, you can't magic them out. They're not actually built into the InDesign file. They're separate. Okay, they are linked to the InDesign file. So you're gonna have to go back to them and say, hey, those images, can you send them to me, please? Or you have to find new images. Or if you have got them and they're just not connected up, click on the first one, go to this little option here that says relink. Okay, it's the second one in, little linking icon. Click on him, then go find them. I've got them hiding in here special for you. Okay, they're in existing files. There's a folder called images. You can see it on the top here. This is the 883. That's that one. And let's click open. The cool thing about it is it's found other missing files in that same directory. So often, say you open up a document, it says you have 100 missing files. You'd be like, oh man, it's going to take forever. As long as they're, when you link the first one, it'll go through and try and find the rest of them. It's pretty clever. So both files are ready to go now. And yeah, the fonts are fixed and the images are fixed. The one other problem you might run into is right at the beginning, I should have mentioned it, is if you open up a file and it says, hey, can't open this file, it's made in a too newer version of InDesign, you're going to have to go back to the original creator and say, hey, can you save me a packaged file? So say you're using 2019 version right now, you in front of you, but the person who made the file is using a lot newer version. Somehow they're in the future. They've made a 2022 version. Okay, this version 2019 is not going to want to open it. So you have to go to them and say, hey, could you do the file package? And where is it? File package, like we did in the last session. Okay, package it up, and you want to open up the IDML file. That's the one that will open up in an old version. So you'll be looking for, where is he? We did it on our desktop when we did packaging. It's in that folder. Remember that guy? Okay. So if the file you've been sent won't open, ask them to package it up and you double click the IDML file. One question I get a bit is, I've got the PDF, can I start adjusting it in InDesign? No, if you've got a PDF, you can't start messing around with it in InDesign. InDesign does not open up PDFs, it only opens up InDesign files. The PDF is kind of like a squished version of it, or it's not really editable. You do get stuck like that and you're like, oh, I just need to change the date. Open the PDF up in Adobe Illustrator. That'll kind of work, but no, you can't open a PDF in InDesign, sorry. All right, one thing before we leave, I just noticed down here, you can see that it's all overset text. It's because we ended up picking up a different font. Remember we went, all right, we're gonna use Envato. The font is actually wider. So I'm just gonna have to make sure that all of these things don't get me into trouble, okay? Because there's these text box weren't big enough to fit the Envato. So keep an eye out for overset text. Is there any more on this document? No, it's not. It should give you a warning. Oh, there's more there. Okay, but just a little note. When you are switching out fonts, they might not fit in the boxes provided. All right, that's definitely it. Let's get on to the next video. Let's look at using templates. Hi there, this video is all about using templates. So you're new to InDesign, but you're new to design in general. And you're like, oh man, this is quite hard. I wish there was some like pre-made templates that I could start with and customize. That is an amazing way to get started, and I'll show you a couple of places to find them. So within InDesign, when you go to either File, New Document, or click on this New Document, there are some templates built into InDesign. So if you go to Print, and these are kind of presets for just standard blank pages, but underneath there is one called Templates. So say you like this one here, you're like, oh, that could work for me. If you click on it, and you hit download, it'll take a little while, but it will download a template ready to go with the fonts and colors. Okay, the things it won't have is the images. Okay, you'll have to replace it with the images. I'll show you what I mean. So this business proposal layout, it's got a little blue tick next to it on my version because I've already downloaded it. So I click on it once, you hit download. Once it's downloaded, click open, and it'll open up like this. Now, when you first open up a template from Adobe, it'll ask you to sync the fonts. You click yes, and that'll be fine. What you'll notice is that they've put these big gray frames in here to represent where the image was meant to be. So if we have a look, File, New Document, you can kind of get a sense of what they were going to do with it. You can hit preview and it will show you. You're like, oh yeah. And you download it and it's like, let's cancel that. Okay, you download it and you're like, doesn't look as pretty. Okay, a couple of things. W key gets rid of all the working, and just work between that preview and this to go through and start adding your own images. So this gray box here with it selected, import file. Let's go to our exercise files, grab another one of Phil's images, click open, and then we're gonna hit fit into the frame, and we're there. You have to switch it out for your company logo and your addresses, but you can see how templates are a great way to get started. One of the cool things about Envato is that they have Envato elements. We looked at Envato elements earlier on when we looked at images. Remember royalty-free images? Okay, so as part of that $15 a month, you can actually go to the website, and then as part of elements, let's have a look. Let's look at brochure. Okay, I did a search for brochure, and you've got photos, but also these templates. If I click on see more, I get a huge variety. The ones built into the InDesign, there's a couple there, not that many, but on Envato, there are hundreds. Okay, so you can go through, you pick one, you click download. It's all part of that same subscription you're paying for the images. And when it downloads, it's much the same as that first template we looked at. I'll show you one. So I've downloaded and unzipped the download. Okay, I downloaded this version here. Inside of it, they've given you some cool things like the PDF. I can click on PDF and double click it to open it. So that's what it could look like. Just like the other one from InDesign though, when you actually open up the InDesign file, can you see they've actually given you InDesign file? So good. Try the INDD, okay? And if it says, hey, you need a newer version of InDesign, which one do you open up? That one there, okay, IDML. Okay, so we're gonna open up the INDD. It's going to have a missing font, and you can see what we did in the last video, okay, to go through and fix missing fonts and missing images, okay, but in this case, we're going to ignore that for the moment, hit close, and this is the way you can get started with a template. W key on, W key off, okay, you can just go through, select him, import file, you can start adjusting it, picking new colors, okay, templates are just a great way, I don't know, it's especially when you're new to design to kind of get a feel for it,
and get a lot of the structure in InDesign. Like standing on the shoulders of giants, I like to think. All right, so those are templates. We've looked at brochures. There's templates for everything. Stationery, business cards. Go check it out, either with the File New option, there's a limited amount in there, or the unlimited amount from Envato Elements. All right, I will see you in the next video where we wrap up the end. I'll see you there.
Hi there, welcome to the end of the course. We made it, you made it, I'm here, well done. What can you do next? Next steps for you would be, this InDesign class is a good kind of general overview of the software, but as you can imagine, there's lots more it can do. So remember, at Envato Tuts Plus, do a search for InDesign, and you will find lots of other, maybe more specific courses on InDesign. The other thing you can do is on Envato Tuts Plus here, do a search for my name, Daniel Walter Scott. I've got some other courses if you're interested. There is one that it's the same kind of format as this, or aimed at the same kind of level. There is a Photoshop for beginners and Illustrator for beginners. So search for both of those if that interests you. Other than that, that's the end. I will hopefully see you in another video. I hope you enjoyed InDesign and this course. Haere rā. Bye now.